Alrighty, hello folks. Welcome. This is the weekly graduate show from Chess Dojo, where we celebrate the players that have done the work and managed to get themselves to the next level, the Dojo Training Program. So this week we have actually 36 graduates, which is an impressive amount. I mean, 36 players have gone from the current cohort they were in, 100-point range, to the next one. And in this show, what we try to do is highlight what they've been doing, take a look at their profile, see what they've been up to, try to give tips for others that are in the same rating range to make progress themselves. And we typically look at a game or two that are annotated from the students themselves to see how they're putting in the work and uploading their analysis, which is one of the core elements of the program. Hello, Finvar. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we got 36 people today, so I'm going to try to get through about half the grads today. And I think Jesse will take care of the rest tomorrow. Jesse also been doing World Cup. So, yeah, I haven't been able, sadly, to join for the World Cup. It's just been way too early for it. It's just impossible. And in the mornings, actually, what I've been doing is, like, lately I've been getting up and trying to do chess in the morning. And, yeah, doing chess and streaming, it's like two very different things. So I've been trying to keep my mornings sacred for over-the-board chess time. And so sadly, I'm just like, even if I do wake up before the round's over, I'm just like not in the mood to get on camera and start talking and giving takes about players and stuff. It's like I just want to be fresh and, like, you know, study some chess OTB. Lately, I've been reading some Dvoretsky, going through games over the board. It's just been like very, very pleasant, a nice kind of practice to keep my my chess flowing. Yeah, anyways, we got a bunch of graduates today. We'll be looking at their profiles. As you can see, some of these players have already graduated multiple times, and so they have collected multiple cohort badges. So we're going to start as usual from the very first cohorts. We have Torquata graduating from 0 to 3 to 3 to 400. And I don't think they have a graduation message, so let's take a look at their profile. Okay. So let's see, they're using their Lichess Classical. Looks like they just started a couple weeks ago, actually. You guys can see their profile here. And this one, actually, it's a little bit... Let me zoom out so you guys can see the full profile there. Just a moment. My OBS is being a little sticky for some reason. Not sure why. There we go. It's a better version. Okay. So we can see they've been very active on their heat map here on the left side. And we can expand that, and see they've already been playing some classical games. There's their graduation. And let's take a look at their charts over here. So they've already completed a bunch of the tasks, already played 9 classical games out of 40. Let's go to training plan. Oh, and they're already ready to graduate from 3 to 400. Nice. We'll be seeing them soon. Okay, this is their activity. Let's see what they've been doing. Did some tactics test, everyone's first chess workbook. That was very popular at the lower cohorts. Scholar's Mate, Everyone's First Chess Workbook. Nice. Okay. Yeah, basically at this level, it's really all about games, the yellow bucket, and tactics, the green bucket. So these are the two buckets that we want to see being the largest, games and tactics. Especially, I would say the yellow bucket should be the biggest at the starting cohorts. Maybe even 50% we should aim for. And then a huge chunk of the rest should be tactics, and then everything else just a little bit. Because tactics, I think, most important thing. Let's see, my games. And okay, no published games yet. Maybe they've uploaded some games, maybe not, but they haven't annotated a game yet. That's totally fine. Yeah, that's definitely one of the big things you want to start doing to improve your chess, is to annotate games, upload your analysis, and let others give you feedback so you can learn and improve. Okay, well done, Tarkrata. I'm sure we'll be seeing them more. They've already crossed into their next graduation for Lichess Classical at 1310. So yeah, we'll probably be seeing them graduating very soon. Okay, let's go back to our list. And okay, next up we have a guy from KY, Kentucky, graduating from 3 to 4, 4 to 5. And the guy says, just having a basic plan to follow is helpful, and you provided that, the right amount of information and motivation, where to focus my study time. Nice, glad to hear. Oh wait, let's open guy in a new tab actually. Take a look at the profile. Okay, guy from Kentucky. So actually joined a couple months ago in August, but then recently started seeing progress. Not logging everything, but clearly did take a lot of inspiration and motivation from the plan, which is good to see. Okay. So here, yeah, in terms of the score breakdown, games and analysis, but I think maybe this player isn't logging everything that they're doing, so they're probably playing a lot more than they're indicating, would be my guess. Yeah, because they logged some stuff back in August, September, and then that's it. All right, let's see if we have some games. And okay, we have daily games, blitz study, and my games. Love the folders here, so we can see like, okay, doing some blitz games, some daily games, and let's see if we have any annotated games. So no classical games, but maybe we can see if we have, looks like we've got a daily game. Daily games are cool. Let's check out this daily game. So our hero here is playing black. And I'm not sure what the time control was. Let's see, 86,400. How many seconds is or how many days is that? That's going to be 86,000 seconds. How many days would that be? Let's think. Okay, I know it's going to be, let's see, 3,600. It's like 14,000 seconds a day. So maybe like 5 days per move. This is like 4 or 5 days per move, I think. Okay. Just so we know. All right, let's take a look. So D4 played by opponent. We went D5, E4. Now this is a pawn sacrifice, gambit. Black takes the pawn, which I think is correct because it doesn't feel like white is really going to get enough here for E4. So takes. White pushes D5, knight F6, bishop C4, knight D7, knight C3. Both sides developing here. D5, I don't really like how white's playing this opening because they're moving a lot of pawns but not really developing their pieces. So I like knight F6 for black. Knight D7 I think is reasonable. Knight comes out to E5, check, and knight goes back to D7. Now this I don't like because of course black could have blocked either with the pawn, with C6, challenging the bishop, which I think would be okay, or perhaps best would be bishop D7 to block the check with the piece and use the undeveloped pieces here. And then if white trades on D7, we'd go queen takes D7, our queen can come out. Next, we can develop the bishop maybe to g7, maybe with e6, and develop it this way. And yeah, black should be developing really comfortably. So knight e5, already it's like kind of breaking an opening principle because we're moving the same piece twice. But it is okay here because we're also attacking a piece. So we're also forcing the opponent to move one of their pieces twice. So it's not like we're really losing time with this move. But then after check, we definitely don't want to be using a developed piece to block the check, but rather an undeveloped piece like the bishop. And I would say the same thing. Like if the bishop was out here and the knight was back on b8, then I would say, oh, let's use the knight instead of using the developed piece. So knight goes back to d7. This allows white to take on e4 and win their pawn back, but they chose to just play bishop f4, which comes with a threat. a6, I like this move. Bishop takes d7, but now we took back with the bishop, and white gobbled the knight on e5. So big tactical mistake here, forgetting about the knight on e5. And this is what Jesse, I think, often refers to as like having a grip on the board, or board vision. Just like seeing what's hanging, what's under attack. This is going to be the most important skill to develop at these first cohorts. So white won the piece, but let's see how black managed to get back into the game. Bishop f5, white gives a check, but nicely blocked. Now b5, another check, white goes back. Queen takes d5, a nice move. Queen b7. And now we took on c3, and black's still down a piece, but at least white's king is weakened. Now here we start, we go bishop to e4. Definitely needed to just castle here. This would have been the #1 move in the position in my book. Castle, get the king out of the center. 100%, this is just the biggest priority in the position for black because the king is just so vulnerable on e8. So bishop e4, rook e1, and now we castled, but we forgot about another one of our pieces. And apparently so did white, as they didn't realize they got 2 attackers on this one and could have just taken and had 2 pieces in the endgame. So they missed that one. A bit of mutual blindness here. King b1, c5, knight d2, but now of course black noticed the attack and saves the bishop, knight b3. And now it's a lot of pawns for the piece, so black has quite a bit of counterplay here. So queen c6, f4, bishop f3. Nice. Rook d5, and white forgets about the queen. Beautiful. From here, it looks like technique was pretty good. We start taking all the stuff. Rook takes d3. Queen c4. Nice. And yeah, after taking the queen, looks like we didn't give white any chances. Okay, good stuff, Bill. Yeah, clearly Bill playing well, but sometimes we just forget about which pieces are defended and which ones are not. So here, big moment after bishop takes d7. We had to recognize that the knight is under attack, and 100% had to take back with the knight here to save this one. And then, of course, after bishop e4, rook e1, not seeing that the bishop is under attack, this was missed by both players. This would have been a huge turning point in the game as well. So something to work on, not just for Bill, but for many players at this elo. Just seeing what is defended, what's being attacked, what's protected, and just keeping a handle on that is worth a lot of points. Hello, Jenny. Hello. How are you? Okay, good stuff, Bill. Keep up the good work. Let's move ahead. Next, we have Iso Trexen, also graduating from 3 to 4 to 4 to 5. So the 4 to 5 cohort getting a number of new members. And yeah, look at this heat map. Very nice heat map here from Iso. So putting in a lot of time, we can see a lot of games and analysis, some tactics, and a lot of classical games. That's what all of the swords represent, is a classical game played on that day. So Iso, I think, following the program really well. We can see their rating graph is actually pretty typical. It's like not perfectly straight up. Most players aren't, but rather it's like up and down, but generally trending up as they put in the work. So let's see their activity. And yeah, this is a good, I always say at this ELO, you want your pie charts to look a little bit like a Pac-Man. Like big yellow mouth, which is the games and analysis bucket. And then a bit of green as well, which is going to be tactics. So perfect, basically perfect pie chart here from this person. I think they're essentially following the program to a T. And we can see they're doing a lot of stuff. Master games. Oh, completed checkmate puzzles. Nice. This is our new checkmate trainer. Very, very popular. Looks like they tried it out. And they got this automated message. Updated classical games. Already up to 36 games for the year, which is great. We ask that we suggest people to play 40 games a year, classical. So they're right on target for that. And yeah, basically following the program, studying master games, doing all the right stuff. And yeah, recently managed to graduate. And next they have to get to 750 chess.com rapid to make it to the next graduation. Okay, let's see if we have some games. My games. And a bunch of annotated games here, which is great. All right, let's take a look at a game. So this is ISO playing black against 701. And I think this is on chess.com rapid. Time control 30-minute game. Okay, looks like we have Carol Khan. Good opening, very solid. White plays advanced variation and black goes c5. Now this move is losing a tempo, but of course it's widely recommended as being a pretty decent move. And the idea is for black to start playing it more like a French and getting play on the center now that the bishop can come out. So black is trying to get an improved French defense where they have a really solid center, but without the bad bishop on c8. So c3, I think this move is natural, but not the most challenging necessarily, but perfectly logical. Knight c6, knight f3, takes, bishop g4, bishop e2, e6. So far black playing the opening perfectly. h3, and now black gives the bishop and takes on f3, which is perfectly fine. In fact, it's quite logical because we have a closed position and the knight on f3 is going to be defending the d4 pawn. So now black's strategy is in a way to play against the bishop pair. And since white has an unopposed light squared bishop, black can try and attack the d4 pawn multiple times, which is sitting on a dark square. It's a little bit harder for white to defend it. So black starts playing against the center. Now bishop e3, and here black played knight g7, and pretty quickly. But I would have 100% at least considered taking the pawn on b2. A lot of times this is a risky pawn to take, but usually the reason it's risky is because white can hit you with a rook to b1 tempo. Sometimes your queen can get trapped. Here the queen's not getting trapped. We have an easy way out. Next move, queen b4 check or queen to b6. So we could see black really getting away with grabbing this pawn. White probably goes knight d2 to defend the rook. Maybe look for rook to b1 ideas. And I think black would have a couple options here. Knight b4 would be quite aggressive, looking for knight d3, knight c2 check. I don't know if we need this one. Knight takes d4 would be another aggressive approach, but a little bit risky because we're kind of just playing with only two pieces here. But it might work. Queen a4 check, we still have knight c6 back. And then our queen is hitting the rook and the e-pawn. But after rook to b1, followed by rook to b7, this, of course, starts to get very, very complicated. So I wouldn't be sure what's happening here at all. But as a safe approach, we could just look at queen to b6 and just say, all right, we got one pawn. We're happy to take one pawn. If rook to b1, let's say we'll drop back, queen c7. And I don't really see the full compensation here for white. It seems like it's a pretty normal French position, except white's missing the b pawn. So here I would actually feel pretty confident that black can get away with taking the pawn. Not that you had to necessarily, but in general, if the opponent is offering material and we don't feel like they're going to get enough for it, enough play, enough compensation, usually it's very principled to take the material, because otherwise you might be allowing your opponent too many liberties, allowing them to develop freely and not punishing them for their risky play. So this is definitely one I would have very strongly considered taking. And I'm generally not one that likes grabbing material, but I do believe that if you can take material and get away with it, then you, in many cases, should. Okay, now, knight e7, definitely not a bad move, but I would suggest that we spend a little bit more time here, because maybe grabbing the material would have been good. But still, solid play. b3, knight f5, perfectly fine. So white does spend time to defend the b pawn, so it does seem like black is still doing well anyway. And now, how is white defending the d pawn? So queen d3. Okay, now there's a note. Here I should have counted attackers on d4, as I have one more attacker there. Exactly. Now black spent 2.5 minutes, played rook c8. At least we started spending more time. And rook c8 is quite a reasonable move. I mean, you are developing the rook and threatening knight to b4, which is actually a major threat. Like, okay, we could have taken the pawn on d4, but threatening knight to b4 followed by knight c2 is also threatening to win material. So I actually don't think rook c8 is necessarily a worse move for black, because I don't see a great way for white to defend against both knight takes d4 and knight takes b4. So it feels like black actually keeps all the pressure in the position. So castles. And now we took this one. And I think, yeah, we can get away with it, because next we can take on f3 with check. Knight b4 was probably good here as well, followed by a simple knight c2, winning the exchange. And maybe even more, because how does white develop here? If knight to c3, we take the rook, and then we get bishop to b4 and queen a5, and so it's possible that white isn't even able to just make it only an exchange. Okay, so black took, which I think is also good. Takes, knight c3, queen a5. Okay, attacking the knight on c3, but leaving the knight on d4 hanging. Wait, this board is, oops, there we go, killing me. There we go. Yeah, I don't like that, because we're not developed, so we should just develop here. Bishop b4, castle, and then black is doing great. Up a pawn, beautiful position. So I don't like this, because, yeah, we're not developing the rest of our pieces. But we are starting to spend time, which is very good. We got this clock graph, of course, which tells the players how good their time usage is. And, yeah, to black's credit, very good time usage in this game. Almost 2,500 level time usage, which maybe is a bit overestimating, but black definitely used their time more than white did. Although at a certain point, it looks like, yeah, no, black used their time well. Black is the blue line here. Black used their time reasonably, and white played the game pretty fast at a bunny pace, which, okay, very typical for this level. So rook c1, of course, could take on d4, but then queen takes c3, black can take this one, or probably I take the rook, and then bring the bishop out. Like bishop c5, bishop b4. Oh, congrats, Sam. Congrats. Well done. Where did you graduate? Where was the tournament? Okay, so bishop b4 played. So takes, check, takes, and castle. So now black gets into this endgame, up a pawn, opposite color bishops, but really good winning chances for black, because we have an extra pawn and our structure is better. So it's like we have good chances to win a second pawn as well. So rook c2, there goes the second pawn. Takes, rook e1, bishop d6, b6. And okay, now it's time for the endgame. So h6, I don't love this move. Okay, we're trying not to get back rank mated, but at this point, we should just get the king in. Now, first of all, we could just give check and then even just keep taking material. White's really not in time to do anything here, because we'll have just enough tempos. First of all, there's no mate there. We have bishop f8, but we can just come here and then go king e7. And then black is just doing amazing, completely winning. But if we were really worried about the back rank, then I would go king f8 because we want to bring the king to the center. Even g6, yeah, I think would be a little bit better because this at least helps the king get in a bit faster. Because now we're in the endgame, so the king is a very important piece and we want to use it. So h6 here, a bit of a wasted tempo. a6, yeah, I also don't like this. I don't really like how black is playing the endgame. We should be using our strongest pieces, which in this case is the rook and the bishop and the king. So we should be mainly using our strongest pieces rather than pushing the pawns too quickly. So rook c4 definitely would have been my move here, trying to win a third pawn, get the king in, improve the bishop, and yeah, slowly round everything up. Okay, so here, b5. Still should be winning for black. Rook b8. Oh, but d3. We blundered with this one. Bishop takes d3. Actually, the blunder was here because we had rook d8 check, but I think the idea was to trade rooks. And now this endgame, definitely not so easy to win with the opposite color bishops. Might be a draw already. So we missed this this winning tactic with rook to d8. Dang. So d3 was a nice move, but then bishop d3, had to find this one. And then it would have been a very nice win. F3. So now in this endgame, what black needs to do is get the king up. And maybe you're giving up the bishop for the pawns, but the idea is that your king is going to be so strong that you win the resulting king and pawn endgame. Actually, I heard such an interesting thing. Vishy Anand was doing commentary for the World Cup, and they were analyzing some position. I think it was Robert Hovhannissian's game, where he was black and winning, grandmaster from Armenia. And they reached some endgame where black is down a bishop for 2 pawns, but is completely winning because their pawns are just promoting, and white's bishop can't stop all the pawns. And Vishy called it a winning king and pawn endgame, which I thought was so interesting because there was a bishop on the board, but it was still a king and pawn endgame in Vishy's mind, even though white has an extra bishop. And black was the one without the bishop, but winning with the promoted pawn. So that's an interesting way to look at it. It's just like, okay, it's going to be king and pawn endgame, but black is winning that endgame. And Wesley lost a king and pawn endgame, exactly, down a bishop, where he resigned, drawn position, tragically. So, king b7, f3 I don't like because we're giving up this pawn, actually, I think for no reason. The right thing to do would have been to advance the king forward. And then after a7, the way you play these endgames is you bring your king in first. So our king is not only helping the pawns, it's also kind of boxing white's king out. So let's say here, here, and then there would be 2 approaches to this position. One, which I think would be the correct one, would be to start pushing the e-pawn and trying to promote it. The other would be to go after the g-pawn. That would be the second plan in this endgame. The problem with this one, though, is once the king gets to f2, if all else is equal, white can just park the bishop on e4 and kind of cover everything. So that's why I would probably start with this one. And now, I mean, I don't know, actually it looks like a difficult endgame for white to defend because this is major threats. King b3, e4, king b2, e3. Maybe white needs to come around this way. Try to stop the pawns from this angle. But then I think we're still directly winning. We could also have just reverted back to this other plan, now go after here, but I think this one would be the most straightforward approach. And yeah, there we get our winning king and pawn endgame. So that's how you play this position. And a lot of endgames is like you got to get the king in. Most important lesson in many endgames is like you got to use the king as an active piece, like white is doing. And then black very likely would have won this. Okay, so f3. And now this should have been winning endgame for white. He just needed to play one move here. Bishop f5. That would have been over. But bishop f3. King d5. Actually still winning. Oh, how white didn't win this? Some kind of stalemate? Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. And g8 equals queen. Played in 1 second, guys. Played in 1 second. Wow. This was a 30-minute game. Yeah. White still had 17 minutes on their clock. 17:20, 17:19. I mean, this is what we say every week. Every week we come on here and we say people are playing too fast and they're blundering. And if people just slow down, they'll just gain so many more points. Every week we see this. Another classic example. This game was played October 2025. And yeah, it's sad. It's sad, but unfortunately these are lessons that players have to learn. Players have to learn. One of the biggest, I mean, this is a lesson I learned many times, growing up as a kid, playing too quickly, blundering, losing, and then thinking, why did I play so fast? Why I play so fast? Realizing if you take your time, you're just much less likely to blunder. Now, our guy, ISO is our guy. ISO is the dojo where they spent their time, and even though they were losing the game, they made some blunders, but they ended up saving it because their opponent, again, just playing too fast. So well done. Well done. Let's go back. And yeah, keep up the good work, ISO. Sure we'll be seeing them in future graduation soon. Okay, let's get back to our list. Next up, we have Karma Portraits, also 3 to 4, graduating 4 to 5. Hesitant to move up, but have been relatively steady above 650 on Chess.com for a week now. Yeah, once you reach that rating threshold, we usually tell players to just go ahead and graduate. You just have to hit it once, and then from there you should be on to the next cohort, working on the next tasks. All right, let's see Karma's profile here. UK based, picking up chess as a winter hobby. Want to see if I can get to 1,000 rapid, chess.com. Absolutely you could. Absolutely. I think most people, this is very, very doable for them. Okay, tactics rating 479. Looks like they've already done the new checkmate puzzles. Very cool. Let's see the activity here. Yeah, classical games, tactics, blunder games, everyone's first chess workbook, blunder games, puzzle survival, study games. Good. Basically, this is what we want to be doing. Playing a lot of games. The blunder games are, of course, the rapid games that we suggest for people to play, where the focus is to try and not hang your pieces as much as you can. And other than that, we're doing tactics and we're studying classic games. So, very important. Okay, looks like we've got a game. Karma against Ned Stark's Ghost. Let's take a look. Uploaded recently. Good stuff. Of course, we've got this nice game editor on the site. I wish Kostya covers my graduation. We'll see, Sam. We'll see. Are you going to put it in for next week? By the way, this game editor we have here, absolutely beautiful work of art. Allows people to annotate their games. We got the clock graph. Wow. Really nice ratings here, by the way. These players use their time well. And as we can see, they're very close to the ideal time usage. Basically, they're almost on it. Black here played 2873 according to their time usage rating. So very, very good time usage spent there. Kudos. Okay, so let's take a look. So Karma here is playing white. D4, D5, London system. Oh, but now knight to C3. So transposing into more of a Jobava London, which I'm not such a huge fan of. I feel I know Sam's watching, but I feel like it's just not a very classic approach, and a lot of times the pawn on c2 wants to be in front of the knight, putting pressure on the pawn on d5. But to be fair, I actually don't really like the queen's gambit in general for lower elos. I think most players at lower levels should just be playing e4, because I think this is an easier move to play. You just get rapid development, fight for the center, things are more natural. When we play d4, a lot of times we want to still end up castling kingside, but then we end up behind in development because we're not developing the kingside with this opening. So it's a bit more subtle to play, whether you're playing London, Jobava London, Queen's Gambit, all of the d4 systems. Okay. So, yeah, here instead of knight c3, I probably would just go knight f3 and then wait to see if I put the pawn on c3 or c4. Like if c5, then maybe we play c3, typical London style. And if black plays like c6, then probably I'd go c4 and knight c3 and play more Queen's Gambit approach. Okay, but anyways, knight c3, black goes c5, dc. Now, Sam, you're the expert here, so I don't know. Maybe knight b5 was already possible. Black would go knight a6, and then white could follow up c3 and argue that the knight on a6 is sidelined. But dc, knight c6. Now knight b5. So takes, black playing knight c6, which normally is a natural move. But now knight b5 is pretty annoying. So maybe black should have just recaptured the pawn, I think. Bishop takes c5. And then we're ready to go knight c6, and then on knight b5, e5. So takes here, knight b5, check c3. And how does black deal with both of these threats? Queen takes b5. Ooh, definitely not it. Definitely not it. I guess black thought it's unprotected. Yeah, at this point should go... Well, I guess there's still e5. Maybe actually this wasn't so bad. In fact, I don't think black had to give the check. Maybe could have just played e5 here. And it's still not so bad. Looks totally okay. Now it's still a bit tricky. Like for example, if bishop takes c5, white has this very thematic tactic with queen takes pawn, followed by knight c7 check, and then winning the queen back. But even at the end here, white's a little bit underdeveloped, and I don't know if black can take on c2. There's going to be rook to c1, but maybe black can certainly argue that they have good counterplay here. Rook d8, knight b4, things like that. So, okay, some interesting lines, but yeah, definitely feels like black did not have to lose this game so quickly. But big blunder, forgetting about bishop on f1. And now let's see white's technique here. We're up the queen. Don't have to do anything fancy. Just offer trades. Yeah, happily trading. Queen takes e6. Nice move. And bring our stuff in. Rook d1, c4. Yeah, perfect technique here from white. Just like very, very simple. Didn't give any chances. Didn't make it complicated for themselves. Just used their extra material and won the game. Okay, it's not so hard. Queen versus extra piece, but still, we don't always see the best technique at this elo. All right, good stuff, Karma. Well, keep up the good work. Clearly spending a ton of time. Once again, very, very nice heat map. Just joined in the last month. Already got uploaded game. So, yeah, keep up the good work. Got a profile picture too. Karma portrait doing all the right things. Okay, next we have Kuba graduating 3 to 4, 4 to 5. 62 points earned in the dojo score, so clearly putting in the work. And yeah, really, really nice heat map. Look at that heat map, guys. Very, very nice heat map. Some off days, where they're not logging stuff, but on the days they are, we're doing tactics. That's the green. We're doing games and analysis, and we're playing classical games. Very, very important. Just started back in July and been very active since then. Love to see it. Tactics rating 579. Puzzle Rush. Actually, I'm curious about the training plan. What's their Puzzle Rush score? 18, 19, 26. Nice. Nice. So lots of games, lots of tactics, and a bunch of annotated games as well. Let's see, there's our here. My games. Okay, let's take a look. So yeah, normally these games are supposed to go into the My Games folder. I don't know why they didn't for this person, but that's totally fine. Let's take a look at their most recent game. Okay, here I think we're playing black. E4, C6. Another Caro-Kann. A lot of Caro-Kann here today. All right, Jenny, thank you. Have a good one. Knight C3, D5. Bishop E5 check. By the way, some beautiful annotations on this game. You guys see this? Really, really well done. Like annotated with notes. A lot of comments. Like this is clearly a person doing the work. These are some beautiful annotations. And it doesn't feel like they were like engine. It doesn't feel like there's engine lines because it's a lot of words, a lot of writing. Oops. But even if it is engine assisted, still very, very nice notes here. Okay, Knight C6. I think this is fine. There's a question about how we should block these checks on B5, which are very typical in a lot of these positions. In general, I would say if you can challenge the bishop with bishop to D7, generally it's correct to challenge with the bishop. Sam, you're a Caro-Kann player, so you can, of course, correct me. But I used to play French, and yeah, you're always trying to like trade off these light squared bishops because then your argument is that in the long run you're going to have the better dark squared bishop, which I think is mostly true. So usually black is happy to trade these bishops off. And the other thing is that you're kind of challenging their piece as well. So if they don't do anything, then maybe we'll trade. Whereas with knight to c6, we're just kind of stepping into the pin. And I would say this isn't ideal. It's a bit more passive versus bishop to d7. I would say this is more dynamic, more combative because we're challenging the piece. So generally, if we can play bishop d7 to block these kinds of checks, I think this is the right approach. But knight c6 is, I think, still totally fine. So d4, knight f6, we're developing. Bishop g4, good move. e6, sorry, bishop f4. Bishop e7, totally fine, developing. Queen d3, and now castle. So yeah, black here, I think, play the opening absolutely fine. Croaking Owl, thank you for subscribing with Prime. Very much appreciate the support. Knight g5. Now I don't like this move because it comes with no threat. And black just goes back, bishop f5, nice. Can also kick the knight with h6. And black is gaining time here, white's losing time. Queen e3. Rook to c8. I might have just played h6 here, just to force the knight back, get this tempo. I think h6 is a useful move for black in the future. You can use the square for your other pieces. So it makes sense to include this move while we still can. Perhaps we can take on c2 as well. I don't really see a reason why black can't snag this pawn. But I think we have many good moves here. Queen to b6 as well, and so on. So black's position now just very healthy. So rook c8, bishop d3. Knight b4. Inviting the trade on f5, which is a little bit controversial because now these pawns are weaker. But black does get better control over the e4 square. I probably wouldn't want to go knight b4 myself. I think I would have just traded and then maybe played knight e4 or h6. And yeah, once again, I think black is doing really well. Here, the knight on c3 is not a great piece. It reminds me of the Chupava knight, where it just sits on c3 and feels like a target. You know, it should be white's pawn on c3. So yeah, bad knight there on c3. Okay, so here, queen e5, bishop d6. I don't like that one. Oh, but white missed it. Oh, and we didn't see. We didn't mention this in our notes, although we did write a double exclam or double question mark, which is correct. But yeah, white could have just grabbed this one. So once again, at this level, it's really a lot about just counting and seeing what's attacked and what isn't. So what would have been better? Knight takes c2. We could grab this pawn. We could play rook e8. We could play g6. Basically any other move that kind of keeps material parity. Knight e4 looks okay for black as well. And then trying to take on c2 in the future. All right. So white misses it. A bit of tunnel vision. Goes queen e5 attacking the pawn. And then takes the pawn. Rook to e8. So here it feels like, yeah, again, black could take on c2. Black really isn't kind of respecting the material dimension of the game. We want to respect material because taking material is how you often win a chess game. You have more material than your opponent. Whoa. I think this, okay, probably just a mouse slip. But yeah, case in point, material, very, very important. So white loses the rook, and now we're in business. Queen c1, knight takes c4, and yeah, now it's just too much material, and game is over. Okay, I think the result was black won, so I'm going to assume there was no stalemate here. Although attempts were made. Attempts were made at a stalemate. So take. I like rook takes g4 as well. Yeah, kind of keep the rook steady, keep white's king boxed in. But this is totally fine. And now maybe we had an easy way to win with just g3, where white's king is very nicely trapped on two squares. And we just have to make sure the timing here is correct, right? So here, be a big mistake to promote and cover the square, right? So we just have to make little waiting move a6, and we'd be able to get our queen, of course, and set up the checkmate. Okay, so b4, I'm sure black managed without stalemating and got the mate. Very nice, very nice. All right, Kuba, keep up the good work. Keep annotating those games, keep doing tactics, and I'm sure we'll be seeing Kuba soon. Next up, got JW. My second graduation since joining and enjoying the dojo and the process. Nice, JW. Glad to hear it. Here's JW's profile. 50s, ex-engineer. Played bad chess off and on most of my life. Recently took it up again and now am addicted. Very cool. Let's give JW a follow. Beautiful heat map here. Very, very nice. Clearly doing the work. Got some badges. Tactics champion. Not everyone has this badge. Your tactics rating is at the level of the next cohort. Misha Tal. Okay, let's go to activity. Nice activity here. Classical games, tactics, the usual. We got blunder games. We got win conversion. That's the end game sparring where you get extra material and you have to show that you know how to win with the extra material, which is a very important part of becoming a developed chess player, is learning how to convert. Okay, so I'm glad we're doing those. Let's take a look at games. And we got a recent game here. Looks like JW playing black. And we lost this game. Okay, so this was from the Dojo Round Robin, which are very, very popular tournaments played between the cohorts. giving them practice. d4, c5, e3, knight f6, bishop d3, g6. Okay, so d4, c5. Interesting opening here, kind of Benoni style. Perfectly playable. Black's not really worried about white taking this pawn ever because, in general, queen a5 check will win back the pawn. So, knight c3. Castles. Yeah, now white maybe could take the pawn, but still queen a5. It's really hard for white to hold on to this one in the long run. Knight a6. And so, yeah, generally I think white doesn't really try to take on c5 and get away with it. Instead, white goes e4, which at this point I think is natural. Yeah, white's been playing a bit timidly in the opening with e3. So now they get a little bit more space. But now if black were to take on d4 here, knight takes d4, we would get open Sicilian type of position where black is up on time compared to the normal games because white spent too tempi to play e3 and e4. So this should be perfectly playable for black, even if they're not a Sicilian player. You know, if they're a fianchetto player, they should be able to kind of handle this position. But I think this would have been very natural because one of the ideas of the Sicilian, playing c5 against e4, is to try and just trade the c pawn for the d pawn and leave black with an extra central pawn. So here black can definitely achieve this goal, and I think this would have been the most principled approach. But d6, also fine. Bishop g5. e6. e6 I don't like. e6 I don't like because I don't really see the idea here, and it's just kind of walking into this pin, which is unnecessary. And now white can play e5. And I'm not really sure how we're dealing with e5 actually. It feels like that might just be winning material for white. So yeah, definitely don't like e6. I think h6 would be better to challenge the bishop. Then on bishop h4, maybe you could go g5. I think this is actually totally reasonable. Once again, you could take on d4. This would be another way of stopping white from playing e5. And then you could play knight c6 here. And I think black is developing comfortably and yeah, can go from here. So e6, white went e5, takes, and now d5 from white. A bit of a strange move. I think just recapturing. And I don't really see what black can do here. If we had taken on d4 earlier, then white goes ef6, winning one piece. We take a piece back, it's equal. And then white wins the second piece, and now even more, because rook is hanging and queen on d8 is hanging. So here white would just be winning too much material. And after takes, de, if black tries h6, classic counter, well then white can again take on f6. Either way, honestly, take with the bishop too. And then white's just up a piece here. So white missed e6, I think, huge blunder to e5. And then white, for some reason, did not play d takes e5, which would have been winning. So d5, this one is a lot less scary. Black takes, 95, rook e8. Now black is doing fine. We're up a pawn and we have much better development here. Queen e2. Knight c6 comes to mind to mess with this piece. d4 played. d4 also looks good. Knight e4 and rook takes e5. Nice. Okay, now we're doing well as black. Up a piece. Bishop takes, castles, knight c6, a3, and queen to d5. Ooh, you hate to see it. You hate to see it. But white saw it. Knight takes f6 and takes the queen. We take their queen, but their queen was defended, and now we're just down a rook. Sad. And now we're losing. We're completely losing, and we still have 24 minutes on the clock out of 30, I think. So, what was the big mistake here? Was it queen d5? Yes, but also it was the speed. We're just playing too fast. Both players playing too fast. There's a lot to calculate here, a lot to analyze. Like, it would take me a long time, right, to try and sort through some of these complications. But when you play moves quickly, you open yourself up to mistakes and blunders and huge risk. And so queen d5 Yes, it's a blunder, but it's a blunder not just from tactical lack of awareness, but also from rushing and playing too fast. So this is the main thing we have to work on. Not necessarily tactics, but actually slowing down, in-game mindset, being steady, patient. Patience, very, very important. Okay. So, JW, keep up the good work. I'm sure we'll be seeing you back. And yeah, once we start spending a little bit more time during the games, I think we'll start collecting a lot more points. We'll be able to use the game and analysis, that tactical skill you're building. Once you just start spending that time, give yourself a chance to use your abilities. Hello, Dimitri. Your book recommendations did a lot for your chess improvement. Thank you for saying that. Thank you for saying that. I really appreciate it. It's always nice to hear that your work is helping others. So glad to hear it. Thanks for joining the stream. And yeah, Submarine Mike made a good point there. That bishop on f6, it was just hanging. So it would have been safe for black to just pull the bishop back, keep it on a safe protected square. Then you don't have to worry about all the tactics. That would have been kind of a nice safe way to approach the position. Totally agree. Okay, folks, we've been on for about an hour. Let me take a quick break here. When we come back, we will be going through the next set of graduations. Up next, we got Charlie 123, graduating from 6 to 700 to 7 to 8. Alrighty. Just take water here. Oh, oops, I never tagged the dojo in my announcement. My bad. Hey, 1800 strength. Is passing the FIDE threshold sufficient to graduate? Yeah, for every cohort, I'll just click on. I'll just go to the scoreboard here. So for every cohort, there's a defined range for different ratings. Now, FIDE doesn't go below 1400. So I don't think you can use your FIDE rating at this cohort. But generally, if I go to like a higher one, let's go to like 1600. So we have a number of different like rating conversions. So the way we do it is we take all these different ratings and we convert it to our normalized system, which kind of compares all the ratings against one another. And so the 15 to 1600 cohort is roughly equivalent to 1750, 1850 chess.com, up to 2030 Elite Chess, up to 1750 FIDE, 1675 USCF, and so on. So basically, it's up to the player to choose the rating system that's most important to them. There's like DWZ for Germany, CFC for Canada, and then we have the converted range for that cohort. Originally, the cohorts were based on FIDE ratings. So the idea was like if you're 1500 FIDE to like 1500 to 1600 FIDE should be going in the 15 to 1600 cohort. And that might be like 17 to 1800 chess.com and 1800 to 1900 Elite Chess. But then FIDE, of course, adjusted their ratings. And so now the ratings got a bit mixed up. So we did it, we reconfigured the ratings. Now some of the ratings are more based on like chess.com Rapid, which is kind of like more steady. But in general, the easiest way to think about it, is that players choose the rating that's most important to them, and then they use the converted estimate as their graduating point. Yeah, but okay, it really depends on which rating you use sometimes, because Sam is saying your online ratings could be much higher than your over-the-board ratings. But I would say if you're an over-the-board player, you should kind of focus on those, because online rating, it's like a little bit easier to grind and get it to a higher level. OTB, it feels like you more earned it. Yes, thank you, 1800. Thank you. We're trying to improve it all the time. Are there experts and masters in the dojo program? There's a few. There's definitely not as many as we would like, but there's a handful of players in the 2000 plus cohort. Looks like we have about 29, almost 30 right now. But then as we get to the higher cohorts, it really thins out. So 21, 2200, we have 11 members here active, including Joel. Not Joel, you guys might know. And then 22 to 2300, it really thins out. But actually, we have 6 players here. So a few masters in this group. And then, of course, me, David, and Jesse, we're all in the program as well. But big thing, guys, if y'all know anyone, we're always trying to get more high-rated players into the program. They're always looking for people to spar with. And yeah, we're slowly building it out. So any help you guys can send our way, we much appreciated. Yeah, any rating you graduate in, your graduation will be covered, right? It's really just up to you which rating you choose. And so then your graduation is based on that. Because these are all like it's not like these are like made up, like Neopet ratings, all right? It's not Neopets, guys. Like this is like OTB, ECF, CFC. Like these are real rating systems. So if you can totally say, yeah, you're using the German or the Dutch rating system, and yeah, it's totally legit. Once you graduate, you graduate. So graduation is purely based on rating, Chess Lover. So the way the program works is you choose the rating system that you want to track. And you can track multiple rating systems, but you choose one as your main system. So I'll just show you my ratings here. So I have my FIDE rating here, my chess.com, my Lead Chess Classical, which, okay, I don't use, and my USCF rating. But I've designated my FIDE as my main rating. So for me, my next graduation is at 2400. So if I get back to 2400 FIDE, then I graduate. And this is so a lot of people, when they join the program, they think like, oh, you have to complete all the tasks and everything to graduate. That's not it. This is just the stuff we recommend for you to improve. This is what we think will get people to the next level. But graduation is still based on your actual chess performance. You have to get your rating up to a certain level. It has to be a real rating, online rating, over the board rating, etc. FIDE arena ratings don't count. Sorry, guys. So yeah, you choose the rating system that's most important to you. You designate it as your main rating system, and then it tells you when you're. So if I was using chess.com, my next graduation would be at 2550. And yeah, I think when your rating crosses the threshold, you get a little button somewhere, I forget where, that tells you to graduate. And so you have to click it, and then it prompts you for a message. You can write a little bit about what's been working for you, and then make sure, guys, when you graduate, that you have some games that are published in your folder, so that me or Jesse, whoever covers your graduation, has something to look at, some of your latest games. So definitely make sure that you have games in the folder. This is our site. This is the Dojo Training Program. You get access to it, ChessDojo.club. Use !GOA, by the way, to get 20% off your first subscription for new members. In fact, you can get 20% off the whole year. The yearly subscription is already very nicely discounted. So definitely take advantage of that. But yeah, for anyone like new to the program, I'll just quickly give a rundown. It's essentially a couple things. It's a training plan, so a list of tasks to do to get to the next level. We break down the cohorts by 100 rating point ranges, and then we have a list of suggestions, books, things to do, classical games, game analysis, tactics, etc. a list of tasks to get to the next level. The community is also very important. We have very active Discord. A lot of people that are in the program in the Discord as well. They're often sparring with each other, setting up training games, training sessions. We have like active voice channels in the Discord. People are using every day to study with each other, show their games, do books together, and so on and so forth. And then the site itself has a number of tools that are also useful. We got this new like tactics trainer. We have a game editor, so you can upload your games, analyze and annotate them, save your games very much like you would in ChessBase or Elite Chess Studies. So you can have like collections of your games. Yeah, it's a very cool site. I'm biased, but it's a very cool site. And our goal is to try and make chess improvement as satisfying and rewarding as possible. So a lot of our job here is to kind of gamify the process, which is a very tricky task to do because chess work is supposed to be hard. So you can't really like Duolingo yourself through chess. Like you got to sit down on a board and work hard. And so that's not always going to feel like great. It's going to feel challenging. So you got to learn to like enjoy the work, but we try to give you this like plan that you can track your progress, log your work, hold yourself accountable, and keep yourself motivated. So a huge part of it is this heat map here, which I'll expand. And this one has definitely been a game changer. So you can see this is me over the last year. And I've had a few periods where I was off for a bit, but generally I've tried to be very consistent with my training. And this one's really huge for members because a lot of people that they want to see their heat map filled up. And so you spend time, you put in the work, and then this is what gives you the confidence that you have been working on your chess and that you're making progress. That's always been one of the things that for me, it's like the hardest thing about chess improvement. It's hard to know that you're improving, right? It's only when you start, it's only when you play games, your rating goes up, but rating is like the last thing that goes up. It's only after you become a stronger player that you start winning more games and your rating catches up to you. So it's nice to have metrics and markers along the way that tell you that you're making progress. And one of those is having very active heat map. It's just a visual reminder that you're putting in the work and you're doing the right stuff and you should be improving. Thank you, Trons G. Thank you. Much appreciated. I'm glad you like the interviews. And for anyone that wants to try out the site, once again, chessdojo.club, you can create a free account. We have a free tier where basically you can see what it's like, you can get access to a couple of tasks, start logging some stuff, and see what the program is all about before you decide if you want to join for the full thing. Members also get access to a bunch of courses, like opening courses. Chess Lover just joined. Awesome. Congrats. Hope to see you in a future graduation here. I'll just go to the courses page. So members get access to all of the openings courses. I don't think David's King and Pawn Endgames course is included. This one is on its own, but everything else is included with subscription. And we have a couple nice courses in here. I have a King's Indian course. I'm actually working on updating this one. David has a Najdorf course. And Jesse has a couple of repertoires as well. He's got Caro-Kann repertoire, aggressive E4 repertoire, and French repertoire too. Yeah, great to have you on board. Oh, Sam says every couple of weeks you notice you're playing stronger moves. I mean, that's the ultimate kind of feeling, is that you're just like playing better and you're seeing ideas that you maybe wouldn't have noticed before. This one's hard to quantify. It's just something like you kind of have to notice about your chess. Like, I'm seeing so many ideas. Oh, I wouldn't have considered this idea before. Sometimes you notice that. Yeah, it does feel very good, but okay, really hard to quantify that. Oh, and guys, check out the new Checkmate trainer as well. This is very new, so new. I don't even know how to find it. Because I think it's through this tests page. So I think you can go to material tests. I'm sure we'll be adding a link for it soon. Checkmate puzzles. we have this new checkmate trainer that's really, really cool. This one logs your work automatically. And so, yeah, this is the best new feature on the site. Jack is working on a tactics trainer as well, which is going to be great. We're kind of working on like our own version of the classic tactics trainer. So this one's just a checkmate trainer. So it's just mate problems, mate in ones, mate in twos, mate in threes. Oh, if I don't solve it in a minute, it's going to take my points away from me. So I need to solve this real quick. Okay, it's mate in three. So queen c4, and then I don't see the mate in two. Do we start with a5? c5? Oh boy, where's our mate? Oh no, we're gonna shoot. Ran out of time. Okay, wait, where's our mate in three here? c5. This one's tough. Yeah, these are from Lee Chess. Okay, queen c4, king a3, and there's no mate in two there, right? b5, b3, c5, b3. So c5, king a3. No. a5, king a3. And then mate in two. Oh, a5, king a3, queen f8. Oh, wow. Oh, all right, it's not going to give me any points for this. I'll just do the one. Oh, nice find. Yeah, so this thing is tough, dude. I lost 8 points. It took me 2 minutes. But it works really well. You get your stats after you do a puzzle. And then the cool thing is, the very cool thing, and I'm hoping we can introduce this for other stuff, is after you do a puzzle, your activity gets updated. See, look at that. I took 1 puzzles. 0 wins, 1 draw. I drew the puzzle. Technically, I drew the puzzle because I took more than 1 minute to solve it, and then 0 losses. And it tracks your time and your progress on the checkmate trainer automatically, which is very cool. Oh wait, no, let's go back, and let's go to our graduates. Oh, we had 2 graduates for next week, and now we already have 3. So someone already graduated during the course of this show and is already graduating for next week. Okay, guys, we have a bunch more grads to do. I was going to take a quick break here, but then we started talking about the site. Let me take a quick break now and be back in just a few minutes. Please discuss World Cup amongst yourselves, guys. How are your brackets doing? Probably not great. I'm just going to take a guess. No one's bracket is doing good. All right, folks, be back in just a minute. All right, guys, we are back. Oh, a link to the bracket. Here, 1800, let me just make you a VIP. And I think, wait, I think it's /VIP. Hold on. I think that should give you the power to, I think that should give you the power to send links. Maybe you could you can try it again. It's gonna ban you this. I feel like you're always trying to send help, and we trust you. I mean, we trust most people. Hey, I have a new follower. Let's go. Am I following? Okay, I'm already following Cabbage9. Good. Good. No, it's still not. Oh my god, we gotta set it so that you can lets you send links. All right, here's the there's the link. Okay, somehow we'll find a way to permit you. Maybe it's in settings. Yeah, you can still enjoy the VIP. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, let's get back to our grad show. Moving on to Charlie 123, graduating from 6-7 to 7-800. And looks like they're using their chess.com Rapid. Joined April last year. Actually hasn't been logging too much, but just recently started logging some stuff. So welcome back. Welcome back, Charlie. Actually, it's pretty typical that people join, they're like not sure, and then they get into the habit of logging stuff. And once you get into the habit of logging stuff, it gets kind of addicting. You like seeing your heat map filled up. And yeah, once you get into that cycle, guys, it's very powerful. It's like a positive cycle for improvement. You just keep doing work, you keep doing work. Over time, it compounds, it compounds, it compounds, and you become a better chess player. All right, so here's Charlie's training plan. This is what we're suggesting for him to do. Let's go to the activity. Nice. Games and analysis and tactics. Blunder games. Everyone's first chess workbook. Awesome. Awesome. And we're pretty close to next graduation. 1050. Chess.com Rapid. That's just a couple games. All right, let's see if we have any uploaded games. Okay, no published games yet from Charlie, but I would definitely suggest to do that. The easiest way to do that, you go to games, you go to analysis board, and then this asks you whether you want to start from a blank position, or you can copy in a PGN if you already have the game elsewhere, or you can import it if it's an online game, or sometimes people annotate from like a custom position. It's like a special thing, but usually you just click here, annotate blank game. And then once you're done with the analysis, once you start, really, very important, you guys go up here and you hit save. And then it's going to default to save it to My Games, which is good. You want to save it there. We give you just a My Games folder for your annotated games. And then you can either save or you hit save and publish. So save and publish is very important so that others can see your game if you want them to. You can also just save it yourself privately, or you can do save and publish so that everyone else can see it. And actually, this thing is pretty cool because you can essentially annotate the game. There's different tabs. And so it's got like a full annotator. And we even have folders. So I'm going to delete this one, not save that one. And if you go to games here, you can even create folders of your different games and put your annotated games in here. You can have a folder for your opening analysis. So low key, we're trying to build like a chess-based kind of thing on our site where you can save your games and upload your analysis and have all your stuff in one place. And then there's a very cool thing here. I'm going to click on stats. And hello, Andres. Thank you for the raid. Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. This is Chess Dojo. We're doing our weekly graduates show. I'm just showing this cool feature actually we have on our site where if you upload a bunch of your games, you can then generate stats. So I'm going to, I need to go to my games. I need to be in the folder. I hit stats, and then I find my name, and then rating system, I'm going to choose FIDE and generate stats. Yeah, Andres, big friend of the channel. Actually, let's give him a shout out. You guys go follow Andres for some fantastic and very instructive content. Basically, if you want to get better at chess, then you should definitely give him a follow as well, because he does great stuff. And his YouTube is also fantastic, very underrated, I would say. Oh, he's still watching? Oh, shoot. I thought he left already. That's why I started saying all the nice stuff. I thought he was God, so I could just start talking. Oh, he's still. Oh, hey, what's up, dude? But no, I meant every word, of course. No, especially the YouTube, I think is very underrated. I think a lot of people just don't know about it. Yeah, absolutely. Have a good one. So this is the stats feature, which is pretty new and it's pretty cool. So, I have 31 games uploaded, so I can get my stats on these 31 games. And it tells you your performance rating overall, performance rating as white when you play black, and then it also gives you the performance rating based on cohort. So it takes and gives you a performance based on different rating ranges. And from this, actually, it's 31 games, so I don't have a ton of data, but 30 games still is something to start thinking about. It's like my performance rating against 22 and 2300 players, look at 2630 and 2530. So it's like I do really well, it seems, against players closer to my rating. But then against lower rated players, actually 21 to 2200, I'm doing a bit worse. And then against 2400 plus, I'm doing a bit worse. So it gives you some things to look at, of course. But okay, don't have a ton of games, so you have to kind of keep that in mind. But the more games you upload to your profile, the more games you can generate your stats on, and that will give you kind of more interesting insights. So that's kind of a cool feature as well. So you guys should take advantage. Yeah, it's very easy to import your games. I mean, I know high-rated players, you guys are usually using like ChessBase and stuff, but you have this cool stats feature. I mean, I understand ChessBase also has all this stuff and beyond, but for anyone that doesn't have ChessBase, I would say there are some there are some very nice advantages to using our site. Okay, so Charlie did not have any games. So let's go on to our next graduate, Jesse Stone, going from 7 to 800 and 8 to 900. And let's check out Jesse here, amateur from Southeast Tennessee, seeking to improve my game with a more structured training program. Jesse, I have just the thing. All right, so let's see. So actually, Jesse's already ready to graduate even to the next cohort based on the chess.com rapid rating. It's over 1150. And looks like they just joined in the last week. So very, very new member. Congrats on the recent graduation. Already filling out the heat map. That's great to see. That is really good to see. Wow, they did like 6 different things. Today they did 6 different things. Dang. Let's check out their activity. So they're really getting into it. Oh, they took 56 puzzles. Let's go. New checkmate trainer. Huge success. Spent 30 minutes on that. Got 56 puzzles. I mean, yeah, it's mainly for the lower rated cohorts, but love it. Love the usage. Got some classical games in, annotated games, published new game analysis. And yeah, this is what we'll see in the newsfeed when you publish a game. That you published a new game analysis, then others can see it and leave comments on it as well. Maybe I'll start to leave comments on it. Maybe we should do that for the grad show. Okay, let's check out one of Jesse's recent games. Go to the My Games folder, and we got one game here. E4, best by test. Nice. So this is a looks like 30-minute game. So E4, C5, Sicilian. Knight F3, D6, open Sicilian. D4. White fights for the center. Definitely a very, very classic approach, and one of the best ways for white to play. Knight F6, Knight C3, A6, out of book. And I like that this out of book icon is skull and crossbones, which is very funny. Unfortunately, this is where my prior knowledge of this opening ends. Okay, no problem. I mean, in the opening, it's really more just about following principles versus knowing specific moves that you should play. It's only after we're kind of comfortable with a lot of like middle games that it starts to make sense to study specific opening moves so that you can like kind of navigate to the middle games you want to play. The funny thing, about the Najdorf is at this point, white has basically tried like every move under the sun here. That's not an outright blunder. And so pretty much any developing move is playable. Bishop E2, Bishop D3, Bishop C4, Bishop E3. I think Bishop F4 hasn't been tried because there's just no good move after E5, as far as I know. But yeah, Bishop G5, major move. Bishop E3, of course. Bishop D2 doesn't really make a lot of sense, but it has been played, believe it or not. And both rook moves have been played. I wouldn't recommend them necessarily, especially rook to B1. Rook G1 does have a point to it. You're trying to play G4, G5. But yeah, I would recommend the bishop move at this point. I think you could go classic with bishop to E2. You can go classic with bishop E3. You can go aggressive with bishop to G5. I would say those are the three main options. You can also go aggressive with bishop C4. Actually, bishop C4, I think, very reasonable move. Bishop D3, fine as well. In fact, this one has become very trendy lately. In the past, it wasn't considered that good because they didn't think the bishop is so good on this square, where it's a little bit passive, and your knight on D4 is now undefended. But now, actually, it's considered quite playable. In a lot of openings, the bishop does eventually end up on D3. Like it starts on C4 and then drops back to D3, or it starts on E2 and then it transfers to D3. So this one's totally fine. Okay, B5, castle. Bishop to B7, rook E1. Knight D7. And A4. A4 is a typical move to kind of put pressure on the queen side. So black reacts with B4. We go knight A2. And now knight C5. But takes, black wins the E-pawn. And yeah, it feels like this E-pawn was kind of more valuable for black. Now both players still playing really, really quickly. Yeah. And there's a number of moves white can make here. Maybe bishop to G5 is the most logical. Just developing the piece actively. Maybe looking for like knight D5 ideas in the future. Maybe F4 and E5 to play in the center. Because now white is ahead in development. It's one of the ideas behind the open Sicilian. We get a lead in development, so we try to use it by playing actively. So A4, B4. And here, problem is, yeah, we don't really want to give up this pawn. So take, knight C6, and oh, well then. So take here, and black just forgot about the queen And up until this point, Black had been playing really, really fast. This was the first time Black actually stopped to think and spent 50 seconds on d5. But yeah, that's unfortunate. So yeah, of course, Black should have just moved the queen, maybe queen to c7, queen to b6. And then Black's position is very healthy, queen to b6, because knight on c6, knight on d4, they're a little bit unstable. In fact, okay, probably White has to take here. So good notes, good annotations. Take, take. Rook takes e4. And we get something like this. And yeah, I would say White is a bit better here because we're ahead in development. Maybe queen f3 with ideas. What if rook e4? Oh, rook e4. Oh, good catch. I guess there's still bishop c6. But yeah, this is a possibility too. And then it looks pretty active for White because you have this this nice rook e7 idea. But yeah, it's kind of a nice line. Okay, so here Jay Stone writes, a little surprised my opponent chose to play on. If he had elected to resign, I probably would not have bothered to upload this game for annotation. So it just feels like I got really lucky with that blunder. However, since the game went on for another 30 moves, I thought it would still be good to annotate. Yeah, I would say so, especially the first part of the game. Certainly very interesting. The next part, you don't have to go crazy annotating it, but looks like, okay, we wrote some notes. And yeah, converting is a big thing at this level, of course. So I'm glad we still took this part seriously. But yeah, for our purposes, okay, we'll go through it pretty quickly. But I'll point out if I feel like White does something weird. For the most part, White's technique here has just been completely unimpeachable. Okay, b4, there's a bunch of moves White could play. Maybe f3 to just kick the knight away, and then bishop to g5. But nothing wrong with b4, I think. We're also making progress on the queen side. Knight f5. Okay, to be fair, this b pawn maybe was hanging, but I don't know. Rook b1. White's still up a queen, so we can take on g7 here. White's still doing really well. So I'm not too mad about that one. But yeah, Black shouldn't really be trading. We're happy to trade, so yeah, I think White played this one extremely. Wait. Here. Uh-oh. This I don't like. It doesn't make a huge difference, but I don't love that we allowed this. Although it's probably, it really makes no big deal at all, but I don't know if it was intentional. If a strong player plays queen d8 and says, yeah, go ahead and go rook e1 check because, of course, I'm just going to take, go rook e8, and I'm up a rook. It's easy win from here. Then no problem. But I have a feeling we kind of blundered rook e1 check, and so no good. And notice, guys, Black still has 26 minutes on the clock. So much time for Black. So much time. Okay, rook c1. Wait, why do we repeat here at all? I'm a little confused. So here. And yeah, we let this rook e1 hang for quite some time. Again, rook e1 was possible. Black is still losing, but yeah, we let it happen for too long. Okay, so overall technique I think was pretty good. Maybe could have been a little bit cleaner, but I think overall, very solid game. Very solid game. Important thing, it's not so much about the level of play. The important thing that we're looking at on the show is really just people are putting in the effort, and we can see clearly a ton of time went into annotating this game, and that's really what you need to do to improve. Just put in that time. So, good job, Jay Stone. Keep up the good work. Let's go on to Veiled Tactics, our next graduate. And this is maybe their third or fourth graduation. They're going up to 8 to 900 here. And okay, let's check out. Wait. Okay, here it says Veiled Tactics, but then here they changed their name to Scotch Supremacy. Nice. I wonder what their favorite opening is. Okay, a lot of badges earned so far, so it looks like they're slowly working up through the ranks. Let's check out their activity. Okay, some graduations. New game analysis, nice. Blunder games, Polgar made. So playing a lot, doing some tactics. Love it. Love it. That's what you want to see. All right, games. Let's take a look. So this is from the 3 to 400 cohort, but it was only played a week ago. So they've been advancing rapidly with their chess.com. Let's take a look at this game. Okay, so we're playing black here. We're playing French. White goes advanced variation. And black plays very typical approach here. Knight c6, queen to b6, and b3. Yeah, not a great move for white because it weakens the queen side, weakens the dark squares. So take, bishop b4 check. Oh, there's a question about ChessBase. Sorry, I wanted to talk about ChessBase real quick. So yeah, I still think for like tournament players and people that are doing a lot of like opening work and preparation and stuff, I mean, basically everyone uses ChessBase at the titled level. So I definitely still use it a lot. And most title players I work with, I think they use it as their main kind of chess software. Mainly because I think it's been like the main thing around for a while, so people are used to it. Of course, it's known to be a bit like buggy and glitchy, and it still is. But it's also kind of like the best. Maybe I shouldn't say best, but it's definitely been around for a while, and so I'm certainly used to it, and a lot of others are very much used to it. Although it probably could be improved, especially if it was like smoother. And yeah, I would definitely take less features if it was smoother. You know, I think that would be amazing. But I also think it's gotten a lot better over the years. And now, generally, when I use it, I don't find myself too frustrated with it. So yeah, ChessBase is great because like just gives you a place to save all your stuff, easy way to do analysis. Of course, you can like run the engine, like see the latest games. So it's just a nice way to be able to save all your stuff in one place, and it works offline, which for me is very important because sometimes I'm often traveling, and I want to prepare. So I'm at a tournament and the hotel Wi-Fi is bad, or I'm on a plane and there's just no internet, right? And so I want to be using something that doesn't need Wi-Fi. And so it's nice to just have all your stuff in one place. The way I do it is I have all my ChessBase files saved in Dropbox, and so it's finicky. So when I work, I have to make sure it's not syncing. And a lot of people know this. It's like such a big secret, but I have to make sure like that I turn off sync when I'm editing the files and working on them, so it doesn't like corrupt itself for whatever reason. And then when it's done, then I turn the sync on, it uploads it to Dropbox, and then whether I'm on my laptop or on my like home computer, I can access the same files, and I have my analysis. I think ChessBase now, they have this like mobile app that I haven't used yet, but their idea seems to be like to be able to give you a way to prep and stuff on the go and have access to your files, which seems cool. But yeah, I don't know how well that works. So yeah. Is it 100% necessary? I would definitely say no. I guess like so for me it's really important because I also use it for like courses and stuff. Like when I'm preparing a course, when I'm coaching, I have like so many annotated games, lessons, puzzles saved that I use for students. Right. So for coaches, it's I think maybe it is kind of invaluable to have all your stuff in one place and just like easily accessible. But if you're just like a modern chess player, I made a video on like 3 things every chess player needs, and I talked about this. It's like, yeah, then it's not totally necessary because what do you need as a chess player to improve? In my opinion, I think you need a chess profile, which is just like a document or just something, can be written, digital, or just something that's like explains like who you are as a chess player, like your rating, your results, your strengths, weaknesses, what you're working on, your goals, etc. You need a place for your games. So this could be Lichess Study. This could be on the dojo site. You can keep all your games there. There's no limit to how many games you can have. I think if you're a member. And that's basically it. That's basically it. It's like I mean, I need like a file or a folder for your opening analysis. Right? So again, that could be like Lichess Study, or that could be on Dojo site or any other number of sites. So I'm curious what you guys think about that. Like, I mean, I think ChessSpace is great, and I think a lot of title players use it, but I don't think most tournament players actually need it for what they're doing. Right? The main things you need is just like a written document that explains your chess, like who you are as a chess player, a file for your games or database of your games, a study, and a study for your openings, or a folder for your openings with different different collections of analysis. Other than that, I don't really think you need a lot. Now, if you're a chess coach, then you need more, because then it's like you might have a folder for each of your students and like a database of their games or games you've shared with them or puzzles you've shown them. You might want to have a database of annotated games that are interesting. You can show as lectures or lessons, a database of different collections of puzzles for different levels, different themes, end games, etc., etc., etc. So as a coach, you might have a lot of needs. You might have a lot of uses. But actually, the site on the dojo, we do have the capability to make multiple folders. So you could basically keep all your stuff on the site if you want to, which is kind of cool. Yeah. I don't know if it's easier to use. I would say it is. I mean, I'm used to it, so it's hard for me to say. But I feel like Lichess Studies is like very easy and intuitive. And I would say it's less intuitive than that. But once you get used to it, I would say it's quite easy. But like the offline thing, I think is very helpful, and yeah, it does have a lot of capabilities. I do use like the search function. So like in ChessSpace, they do have some very cool search functions where you can search for like specific ideas and in concepts. Like in addition to just being able to search the exact position to see which games have had this position, you can also you can search for games where white loses the pawn on d4, for example. Like you can search for specific games in the French where black plays knight takes d4 and like look it up. Or you can search for games with like Greek gift sacrifice, for example, in the French. So yeah, the search functions are extremely helpful if you're a coach looking for material, trying to build courses, like you're looking for games with certain tactics, exchange sacrifice on c3, different material imbalances, pawn structures. Yeah. So I mean, for that it's great. It's just I don't think most players really need this feature that much, right? It's really more for like coaches and people that are making material. I think if you're just a chess player trying to work on your chess, it's like you don't really have to go out and search for positions yourself. You should just be like reading chess, like all the positions have already been found, like for a very up until like very high level already. So is like there's plenty of books and material to go through. So you don't really need to be looking for this stuff yourself. Okay. Anyways, let's get back to the game. So bishop b4 check. White went bishop d2. And now knight takes d4. And yeah, looks like black wins a pawn with this one. And I don't see what white could have done, because you really don't want to play king e2 in this position. You'd rather give a pawn than make this kind of move with your king most of the time. Although, who knows? These days, Alpha Zero. Actually, I'm just curious. I'm going to check the engine, you know. Let's see. Okay, king e2, second best move. So it likes king e2 more than it likes knight d2, which allows bishop c3. By the way, guys, we also have a pretty strong engine on the site, which has very decent depth and speed. So this is calculating 8 million positions a second. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good speed. And it's the latest version of Stockfish. So if you are doing like opening analysis, you definitely can do it on the site. Yeah, it's almost like depth 30 here. So very nice engine. So bishop c3, and then black wins the pawn on d4. And then on king e2, yeah, basically it's great position for black. A lot of good moves. Knight h6, f6 makes a lot of sense to me to fight against the center. Okay, let's turn engine off, but I just wanted to demonstrate that capability. So bishop d2 played, black takes on d4. And now it's just developing. White trades. Takes on f3, knight c6. Queen d4. Getting another pawn, and with the double attack, so white has to give check. Bishop d7. Take. Rig d1. Castle. And just 2 pawns up for black. So if all goes normal, black should win comfortably. Knight f6 defends, knight goes back, a5. And yeah, now it's just a matter of trading down and using the extra material. Okay, knight c3. Knight c3, I think it's okay. I'm not sure, but I think I would have preferred maybe queen c3. Just jam the queen in there. Force white to either trade queens and give you that easy winning endgame, or to give space. I guess white would play queen to b6 and game would continue. But anyway, queen c2. So knight c3, also good. Start running the b pawn. And yeah, that's how you win this game. Get the b pawn up. Knight c6, queen c5. Queen b4, and white resigned. Probably in view of just queen takes queen and then b2, and black is just easily winning this endgame. Okay, basically a model French game. Really nice French game. I think this is the reason a lot of people like the French, because they get games like this where white plays the advanced variation. You go queen to b6. They do something weakening, and black takes a pawn on d4, collapses the center, and basically wins the game out of the opening after 8 moves. So, yeah, this is one of the reasons why the French is often played. French supremacy. Exactly. So white's mistake, of course, was b3. And there's a couple of reasonable moves here. One is Jesse's system. Actually, you can go bishop d3. And the idea is that if black takes on d4, you castle as white. And you're actually just willing to sacrifice the pawn on c3 in order to get quick development. And so this is considered actually quite a dangerous position for black. So white has good chances here for nice play. White can also play this move a3, where while d4 is defended, just stopping any checks on b4. So we saw in the game why this move might be useful, because black got bishop b4 check and basically won the game with this move. So with a3, now black, of course, can't do the same thing. And if they try like knight e7 to knight f5, white can get the bishop to e3. White can also have time for b4 and bishop to b2 and defend the d pawn like this, and then bishop e2 castles. Let's get the arrow here, somewhere g4 even. Knight comes out eventually. And yeah, very, very playable game for both sides. White has space, but black has the solid French structure. Okay, Mogo Hard. Well done. Thanks for uploading a game. Keep up the good work. Hopefully, they already graduated a bunch of times. I'm sure we'll be seeing them soon. Up next, we have BPie28 graduating also into the 800 cohorts. And let's see what they have to say. Continuing to hammer tactics as I find puzzles and learning forcing moves fun in and of itself. Absolutely. Continuing to play slowly. Nice. Improving with board vision and not hanging my coconuts as much. Good stuff. Yeah, tactics, of course, very, very important. And yeah, improving your tactics, I mean, it's kind of fun in and of itself. So let's check out BPie's profile. Oh, yeah, we can see the tactics there, guys. We can see the tactics right there. A lot of activity on the tactics. Just joined a couple of weeks ago. Full heat map since then. Love the dedication. Next graduation, very, very close actually. Currently, they're at 1580 Lichess. They just got to get to 1600. So, a couple games away. Let's see the activity. Tactics, games and analysis. Looks like we're doing puzzles, blunder games, Polgar mates. Checkmate puzzles, already tried the new Checkmate puzzles trainer. Nice. It's great to see. Okay, doing a lot of tactics, playing some games as well. Let's see, we have my games. And bunch of annotated games here. Love to see it. I'm sure they'll be. I've already seen enough. I'm sure they'll be making progress soon, guys. It's just about doing the work, guys. Just about doing the work. Playing games, trying your best, analyzing those games, annotating them, publishing the analysis, getting feedback, reviewing your mistakes, working on your chess, working on your tactics. Rinse and repeat. Okay, let's take a look. So this was a round robin game. And our hero is playing white. And we played Scotch opening, d4. Okay, I actually don't know the Scotch well. Have just been trying different openings. Cool. Yeah, I mean, it's a very logical opening, right? Just playing d4, opening the center, fighting for the initiative. d6. Bishop c4. Bishop c4, perfectly good move. I think bishop to b5 also makes a lot of sense here. Pinning the knight and then looking for d5 ideas as well as possibly just winning a pawn with d takes c5. Like after bishop b5, we're already threatening. So if a6, for example, white would take on c6, take on e5, take on d8, black loses castling rights, and then white can win this pawn on e5 and have a very nasty double attack after that as well. So possibly winning a second pawn here too. So I like bishop b5. I feel like it's a bit more aggressive, but bishop c4, totally fine as well. Black plays bishop g4, bishop e3. Now there's a note here about bishop takes f7 check, king takes, and knight g5. And the line runs king e8, queen takes bishop, knight takes d4. This I think would be nice for white because black has lost the chance to castle. So I think white could just castle here, knight c2. And I think white would have some initiative. I don't think white would be super worried about this. Maybe we could defend c2 as well. But more importantly, on knight g5 check, we have to keep in mind this counter trick, queen takes knight. Because white has sacrificed one piece already on f7, so white's down a piece. And then black is taking a second piece. White's going to be up a queen. But then black wins the queen back. White gets a piece back, but black took two pieces. So black is up a piece in this endgame and winning. So that's the main reason why bishop takes f7 doesn't work, is because both g5 and e5 also are covered. Knight takes e5 and defending. Although here you could also just take the knight. And then you're up a piece here too. But I like knight e5. Okay, so bishop e3. Long story short, bishop e3. I think this is okay. You could also consider d5. So this one, knight f6, knight c3, a6, takes f7, knight g5. But bishop on g4 is defended. So we tried for a tactic here, but I don't think it's working. Because after knight g5, bishop on g4 is protected. So we're basically sacrificing a piece. Okay, but still, not so easy for black to defend this one. So let's see what happens. Knight d5. Takes, bishop drops back. Wow. Giving up knight on c6. Yeah, knight definitely should have moved. Maybe knight to b4 or even knight to b8. And then try to come out knight d7. But white still has some reasonable attacking chances here. Yeah, knight e6, bishop g5 check. Not the most pleasant position for black to play. But queen d7, queen c8 should be okay for black. So I would have tried to keep the piece, but black doesn't, so we take. And now knight takes h7. Ooh, tricky. Tricky. And black falls for it. Rook takes h7, bishop g5 check. Nice one. Very nice. All right, we won the queen, and now it's the technical phase, bishop g6. Definitely not it. Castles, de, takes, and this was all over. Black resigned. Okay, well, nice game. Nice trickery there. The bishop f7 sack definitely wasn't good. So, yeah, big blunder here, not realizing bishop on g4 is defended. Instead, we could go h3 to try and challenge the bishop. But actually, wait, here, knight f6, knight c3. At this point, black could have already taken on f3. Instead of playing a6, black should have done this. Because now queen f3 doesn't hit f7. So black could take on d4 and win material. So white would probably have to take gf3. But then anyways, black could trade on d4, take the dark squared bishop, and I think this position probably close to equal. Maybe bishop e7 here, maybe g6 black could play, bishop g7. With white being ahead in development, but having kind of weak structure. So I think black would be mostly all right there. So after a6, white really needed to deal with this pressure. Probably the right move here could be bishop e2. I said probably could be. It definitely could be. I don't know if it is. But I think bishop e2 might be okay. Although still black could take, but here we recapture with the bishop and then kind of keep our structure a lot more healthy, and I think white would be happy here. So yeah, we have to deal with this bishop to g4 move more effectively. Okay, good stuff. I forgot to leave a comment. All right, I want to leave a comment on the whole game. Or no, I'll leave it on the final position. All right. Nice game. Good swindle with the attack. Yeah, quite a few comments. I mean, the community, they really like sharing their games with each other. And then there's often feedback. So it's really cool to see. All right, leave a comment there. And let's go back to our grads. Next up, we have APhil24, also graduating to the 800 to 900 cohort. All right, Aphil writes, "Hi, Jesse. Hello. I've been playing chess competitively for the last 2 years. Absolutely love it. Nice. I joined my local chess club and have played around 12 games OTB. I struggled starting off making blunders by playing too quickly, but then went 5 games unbeaten. My FIDE rating is 1377. I've really taken to the training program this year. I found it a little confusing to navigate around at first. I'm concentrating on getting my pieces into play before attacking, and it seems to work. I really enjoy the Wednesday show. It is so instructive, and I love your sense of humor. I really need to slow down from now on to improve, but I'm over the moon to finally get my first graduation. I'm a big fan of Eric Rosen on YouTube, and he sort of follows the advice given in the plan about developing and gaining temping, but I've cut out watching anyone else and focus on the daily targets in the dojo. Anthony from South Wales. Congrats, Anthony. Well done. Okay, maybe I'll save this one because I know Jesse's going to do part 2 tomorrow. Maybe I'll save Anthony's graduation for Jesse to do, and I'll write him a note. And yeah, because I feel like he would appreciate Jesse going through his game. Okay, so we'll leave them for Jesse, because I'm sure he'll want to read this, and then Anthony, tomorrow you'll be able to see, or in part 2, if this goes up on YouTube, you'll be able to see Jesse going through your profile. So congrats, well done, and hopefully we'll see you in another graduation soon. Okay, we'll move on here, but before we go on to Seg, quick question: how does a dojo rating work? Here, let me jump over to our rating conversion page. Basically, we have the dojo cohorts, which are groups of 100 rating point bands. And these used to be roughly based on FIDE ratings, but then FIDE adjusted their system. So now it's just more of like a normalized system that takes all of the ratings out there and normalizes them to one system. So now FIDE starts at 1400 to 1450, which roughly translates, according to our mathematicians, to about 1150 to 1250 chess.com, 1600 1665 Lichess Classical, 1020 to 1120 USCF, and so on and so forth. So basically what members do is you can track multiple ratings. Like if you have a FIDE rating and a online ratings, you can track multiple ratings, but every member is asked to designate one rating as their main system. So if you choose your chess.com, for example, and let's say you come in with a rating of between 850 to 950, so 875, you would be in the 600 to 700 cohort, but your next graduation would be at 950, because that's what kind of translates to chess.com. And then you would move up to the next cohort, 700 to 800, which is roughly from 950 chess.com to 1050 chess.com, and so on and so forth. So most players, when they're starting out, use their online ratings, but once someone gets an over-the-board rating like FIDE or USCF, they generally switch to that one. And the numbers are a little bit uneven. Like for USCF, the 900 to 1000 cohort is 1010 to 1120. So it's just somehow, that's the way the numbers shaped up. You know, every rating system is different, so it's really hard to measure them against one another. Personally, I don't understand myself how I would be able to do this, so this was just something handled by some very, very smart chess and math people. But yeah, hopefully that makes sense. If you have questions on it, I'll do my best to explain. But yeah, basically every cohort is roughly 100 points. There's a bunch of players in each cohort. We've got a Discord server as well. So if you join the program, or even if you're just a free member, you can join the Discord server and you can see other people that are around your rating range and talk chess, books, advice, set up training games, sparring, all that good stuff. Okay, let's get back to the grads for this week. And next up we had Seg graduating from 700 to 800 cohort to 800 to 900. Let's take a look at their profile. Yeah, absolutely. If anyone else has other questions on the Dojo Training Program, I mean, we're super hyped on this thing, and we're happy to get as many people in as we can. Because the more people that are in the program, the better. It's like a lot of it is based on just giving people a place to interact with others and work on their chess and find training partners. And so the more people that are in the program, the more availability there is for others to have other people to work with and talk to and support them on their journey and so on. One of the most popular channels in the Discord is forum called The Mental Game, where there's just a bunch of different threads of people just pouring their hearts out. It's like, hey, I'm working really hard. I'm not seeing progress. What do you guys think is happening? And then people are very supportive. So that's definitely one of the coolest things about the community, is like with most ventures, you generally need support. You need people that help you and give you verbal support, emotional support, advice, and like keep you motivated. I think to achieve anything in this life, whether it's chess, fitness, other skills, other domains, business, like doing well at anything requires like focus and dedication, and that becomes a lot easier when you have people around you that are helping you and pushing you. Really, makes you feel like you're in it as well. Okay, so Seg has just joined in the last week, already logging stuff. Looks like we're playing a lot of games and analysis. Great to see. Blunder games, Polgar mates, blunder games. Once again, the blunder games are rapid games that we suggest for the lower cohorts. We suggest to play a bunch of games to get a bunch of reps in, get practice. Looks like playing, a lot of playing. Did the end games already. Well done, Polgar mates. And yeah, now we're on to the next cohort. Let's check out the games. No games published yet. That's okay. Looks like we just joined the program and we've already started playing some. So hopefully we get some classical games soon, and then we can upload those and get some feedback soon. Ben Johnson's book, Perpetual Chess Improvement, definitely talks about community support in chess. Yeah, and I mean that's one of the core foundations of Dojo was built on, because me, David, and Jesse, we all got a lot better in chess as a result of working with others. David and Jesse, for those that don't know, they lived in the famous chess house in Berkeley, California, whereas them two, and then it was other title players that moved in and out. I think Josh Friedel was living there, Grandmaster. Vinay Bhatt, also Grandmaster. I think Sam Shanklin was there a lot when he was younger, so not a GM yet, but obviously became one. Yeah, no, this is a very famous chess house. I mean, there's articles written about it. You could Google it back in the day, and I think they were all IMs back then, or maybe even FMs, like Jesse and Josh. Now they're grandmasters, but back then in the chess house they weren't grandmasters yet, so they were training hard and trying to become some. And for me, I got a lot of progress when I lived with a fellow master, and I was like 2,300 at the time. His FIDE was maybe like 2,200, but really strong player, and we would work together basically all day when we weren't working or giving lessons or something, making a little bit of income. We were trying to just do chess together, spar, solve positions, go through books, work on openings, just day and night. And then I ended up making IM norms for a while after that. So that was, I think about a year or several months of hardcore training, and then it led to several months and months of improvement. Oh, the chess house near St. Louis. Now that's a little different. That's actually just, or I think what that's referring to, that's just a house that the club owns that is situated near the club, which is basically just there for people to stay at when they're visiting. So a lot of chess players, when they visit St. Louis, they'll stay there. I think Sagar Shah recently, he visited St. Louis, and I think they put him up at the chess house as well. So that's not really a chess house in the same sense as chess players are living there together and working on chess all the time. That's more just like a house for chess players. So people are going in and out. It's more for just to be near the club versus people that are living there, like a real dojo. Imagine people are living together in a house full time, doing chess. Yeah, Rita Crush is there. So it was a great time, I'm sure. Sadly, I never visited. I mean, I didn't know them at the time yet. So I never got the chance to see it. But who knows? Maybe there'll be another chess house in the future. Okay, next up for the grads, we have Holger graduating to the 8 to 900 cohorts. And Holger also just joined recently, so we had a lot of recent joins. And sometimes people join and the rating hasn't quite stabilized yet, so they quickly graduate. But looks like we've already gotten a couple of classical games in. Already 9 games in the last year. Opening. Oh, Cabbage, you were asking how to update the training plan for past weeks. I think I missed that question, but there is a way to do it. Let me go to my training plan. I think I have to do it for my personal thing. But let's say you have like done a bunch of stuff and you want to go back. So you'd click on a task to update it. And then if you go to show history, which my camera is blocking, but it's next to this update progress button, you hit show history and then it takes you to this. And then this actually shows you your past history. So all the stuff you've done for the task. So this is a great way to edit stuff. If you make a mistake, you would go here to edit it. And it's also a good way, like if you put in a bunch of entries, this might be faster than, let's say, putting in each entry one by one, being like, okay, I did 30 minutes on this day, did 30 minutes on this day, did 30 minutes on this day, did 30 minutes, and so on. Rather, you could just put in a bunch of entries and then go into this page and then edit it quickly versus then putting them in one by one. And then very important at the end, once you do this, you hit save. So bottom right corner next to my camera here, make sure you hit save so that it saves your stuff. But yeah, this is the easiest way because then you can adjust the date and you adjust like what you did, how much time you spent on it, etc. So that's how so sometimes I get behind. Like I actually have to go back because I've done quite a bit more work than I've been logging lately. So I have to go back and log it. So that's how you can just kind of put in a bunch of time. It's like make a bunch of entries and then go and go like 1 hour, 1 hour, 1 hour, 1 hour, etc. Oh, and I saw you were asking about custom tasks. For custom tasks, which are very helpful as well, you go down to full training plan. And then you would open up any of the sections here. So it could be like a tactics book or something that we don't have in the program. You would open up the tactics buckets. And then at the bottom here, you hit add custom task. And then you fill this stuff out here. Here the category is already picked as tactics, but you could change the category as well. So it shows up in a different bucket. Give the task name. So this could be like, Woodpecker 2, for example, is not in the program. So you can add that one or whatever you want to do. Description, choose which cohorts you want the task to show up in the plan. This doesn't have to be a book. This could also just be like chess tempo. And then you choose what you're tracking, whether it's like you're tracking the amount of time you're doing or the amount of pages you read in the book or the amount of problems you solve. So you can also just set up a task to track all kinds of stuff. And then you have a goal as well to give you something to work towards. So yeah, this is useful if you're doing any other stuff that's not in the program and you want to track it. You can add it as a custom task and then log your time in it or what have you. And then it shows up on your heat map as well. And when you do custom tasks, you'll get a little bit, you'll see that some of the boxes are pure and some of the boxes have like lines running through them. The ones that have lines running through them, that indicates that this is a custom task that I was working on and not a official task. And yeah, I mean, you don't necessarily have to worry about going back and tracking all the stuff you've done, but if you just start like, okay, I'm just going to start from now on, from November 1st or from whenever, then of course, over time, you'll start to fill out your heat map. And yeah, before you know it, you'll be making huge progress. Yeah, I've got a ton of custom tasks because I've got all these books I'm reading that are not in the like Dvoretsky I've been reading. It's not in the program and like other stuff, Woodpecker, so etc., etc. All right, Holger, let's check out a game from Holger here, who Mostly has been playing so far, doing tactics. And let's go to my games. And a couple of games already uploaded here. Nice. Let's check out most recent game. Okay, this is their first game in the 45-45 League Chess League, a great league to get games in. It was their goal to take their time for every move and to avoid blunders. Nice. What I still don't do is think about the next move in a structured way. I was a little bit nervous before the game, but it went better from minute to minute. Cool. Yeah, the more we play, the more we get used to it, and hopefully don't feel stressed for super long. All right, so let's take a look. E4, E5. We develop both knights, so 4 knights opening. Scotch. Black trades on d4. It takes a second time, which I think is not that good, because after queen takes d4, white here is very active with the queen, and black doesn't really want to play c5 to chase this queen away, because then black will have weakness on d5 square. So black goes bishop e7. And now I think white really should have taken the chance to play e5 here. Typical idea. And the reason this move is good is because we're forcing the knight to move to a bad square, because the pawn is a lesser value piece. Actually, I was listening to Dan Heisman talk recently. You guys know him. He's very, very well-known chess coach, author, very good instructor. And he calls this AWL, attack with a lesser piece, which I think is kind of cool. This AWL, usually good idea, because you force the opponent's pieces to move away. Someone else called it punching up, which I think is a good way of thinking about it. Like, you're punching up with the pawn. Generally, it's good to punch up. Maybe knight h5 black would play, but then bishop e2. And yeah, the knight has issues on the side of the board. Okay, so bishop f4 played. Castles, bishop e2, b6. And here, once again, definitely would have pushed e5. So that's one thing we should be looking out for, Holger, is these kind of more aggressive moves in the opening, because we really could have punished the opponent much more here than we did, forcing the knight to go back to e8. Then we could play bishop f3, hitting the rook, forcing black to lose even more time, and then white could castle either way, bring the second rook in, and yeah, just have an absolutely very active position to work with. So castle's also good. Bishop c5, bishop b7, and now we played e5, and black strikes back with d5. Nice move. Nice move from black with the strike back. Now, of course, it was a little bit too late for white to play e5. Earlier, if white had played e5 like at this moment, then, of course, d5 would not really be possible, as white just takes the knight. But here with the queen on c4, all of a sudden, white spent a few extra moves, and now d5 hits white with a nice tempo. Now, maybe I would have taken en passant here. And after bishop takes d6, we could follow up rook to d1. I think it seems reasonable for white. I feel like we're nice and developed. But queen a4, knight e4, takes, rook d1. I still think white is okay here. Queen c8, h3, b3. Whoa. So bishop e3. And I probably would have taken as black, because these pawns are pretty weak. You know, play something like queen to g3. Feels like black here is doing well. Maybe white's also okay. Queen to d4. Can kind of defend. But rook e8 takes, and then black pins their hopes on this move, threatening checkmate on g2. The queen takes. So f3 takes back. But now the issue is for black that their queen side is very vulnerable, and their bishop is blunted. So if they can't really generate a lot of play on the king side, then eventually white is going to be able to win based on the queen side weaknesses. Okay, queen takes c2, rook c1. And now bishop a6. Oh, blunder. Blunder. And black kind of blitzed this one out very fast. Played this one very fast. White takes advantage. Queen takes a6, double exclam. Love the enthusiasm. And now white's winning. Bishop c4, using the extra piece. Queen b8, throw this one in. Takes this one. And now with the extra rook, should be just got to deal with this pawn. Rook takes rook, and that's game over. After queen takes, we have rook b8. Okay, nice game, Holger. Nice game. I would say in the opening could have played more aggressively, but otherwise played quite well. Played quite well. Okay, let's see here. Try to get to the thousands. How many done so far? All right, guys, I'm going to take another quick break. Looks like we've been on for about 2.5 hours, and then we'll be back, and we'll do another round of grads. Okay, once again, this is our weekly show where we highlight the folks that have been doing the work and are moved up to the next cohort, Dojo Training Program. Next up, we have Nat 20X. Okay, graduating to 900 to 1,000 cohorts using their chess.com. Now they're on their way to 1250 for their next graduation. All right, let's see their activity. Looks like did algorithm, end games, blunder games. It's about time. How to beat your dad at chess, algorithm. Nice. Studying a lot, playing some games as well. Logging a bit of stuff in the last week. Love to see it. Never too late to start. And let's see my games. No published games. That's okay. Hopefully we get some games in soon. Nat 20. That's definitely one of the main ways to improve. Play some games, annotate them, upload them, publish them, get some feedback, work on your weaknesses, so on and so forth. Okay. Best of luck. Let's go on. Next up, we have Mullet Monarch. 8 to 900, going up to 900 to 1,000. And let's check them out. Joined earlier this year. Been super active in last couple months. Rating graph looking fantastic. Using their chess.com. A lot of tactics lately. We can see by their heat map. See their activity. Yeah, a lot of tactics. Time breakdown, score breakdown. Doing the checkmate trainer. Nice. Checkmate trainer, super popular so far. Just giving them a reaction. Doing a lot of Polgar mates. Nice, super useful. Now the Polgar mates can kind of be replaced or at least supplemented with the checkmate trainer. Which is great. Okay, let's see if we have some games from Mullet Monarch. We have annotations of 1510 games, and we have my games. Looks like we have a classical game here from October. Let's check out this game. Okay, so this is from the 8 to 900 cohort. Here we're playing black against Jordan 820. First classical game played with a fellow dojoer, 45 plus 15. I found it very hard to keep concentration for this long. I think my opponent played incredibly well. Yeah, it's definitely a skill to develop, just the ability to stay focused for such a long time. Focus and concentration. Massive aspects of chess that do develop with practice. As you play more classical chess, you will develop the ability to kind of sit there and think on a position for long periods of time and be able to use your time effectively as well. So it's hard at the start, but we're doing the right things. Okay, I like this opening from black. Knight d7, e5, fighting from the center. Bishop e7. Black here played the opening absolutely fantastic. Knight to c5. Nice move. It says I don't remember the idea, but we're hitting bishop on d3 and opening up bishop. So this move perfectly reasonable. Bishop c4, castles. h3, h6, take. Knight e2, bishop e6, takes, castles. Yeah, so far very reasonable position for black. So c5, knight g5, rook c8, queen d7. Now we've got queen f5. So knight e4, queen f5, takes, knight g3. Everything here feels very solid so far. g6, okay. Seems all right, stopping the knight from coming in. But yeah, maybe could have just played rook to d8. Just challenged for the open file. And knight h5, not such a big deal. Queen e6. So g6, rook d2, queen c6. Rook d1, e4. And it feels like, yeah, white now has taken over the d file, and all of a sudden we're under pressure. So don't really like how black played the middle game. Okay. Let's see. Now, this is one move actually I would question right off the bat, c5. Because I don't really feel like this gives black anything significant. We already control the d4 square. And with c5, we're just kind of limiting our own pieces, possibly giving up the d5 square in the future. I think something like c6 is reasonable, because here we control d5, which we don't control yet. And we open up the queen to b6. We're not really limiting our pieces so much, more as opening them up. Whereas with c5, it feels like the pawn was in the way. It's also kind of bad for our bishop, since our bishop is in a dark square. So this is kind of the first move that sticks in my mind as like, ooh, maybe this was the wrong direction. Either c6 here, or you could play queen d7 to connect the rooks, or queen e7 and then rook to d8, double on the d file. After any of these moves, I think black is doing absolutely fine. So in addition to the c5 move, the real thing that went wrong here for black was that they didn't appreciate the value of the open file. Especially in a position like this with only one open file, I think it's very important that we played a move like queen d7, queen d6, queen to d3, followed by rook to d8. With only one open file in the position, it becomes very important to control the only open highway. You know, you control the highway, you control the river, you control the roads of commerce. It's very, very important for the strategic fight of the game. So yeah, any one of these moves I think would have been better. Maybe queen d3, just to really shove the queen into white's territory, followed by bringing a rook to d8. I think this is the way to do it. Okay, so black here drifts. Yeah, rook c8, another move like, yeah, not very helpful. So feels like black didn't know where to put the pieces. And I was just kind of making moves here, but yeah, needed to think more about where the pieces want to go. The rook doesn't really want to be on c8. The rook wants to be on d8. So we had to make that possible. So now queen d7, white wins the d file. And yeah, we don't challenge it in time. So rook c7, rook d6, knight e2, knight f4. Ooh, knight f3 check. Okay. Kind of in desperate mode, because at this point strategically white is doing really well. All their pieces are great. Black goes for a sacrifice, but I'm guessing, yeah, this is not going to work. ef3, and the knight covers g2. So white here is winning. Well, that's okay. Still very nice game, and also very, very good annotations. We end up blundering here, but black did a lot of things correct in this game. They used their time, and then they analyzed the game really well, and they annotated very well. And also they had the guts to publish a loss, which not everyone does. A lot of people only publish their wins, but here we're publishing a loss, which is very important, so we can actually get feedback and improve. So I have no doubt that we are going to be making progress. Hopefully those tips on the games were useful. That was like my main thing on the game, is that we didn't fight for the d file, and we didn't really think about where our pieces, especially our heavy pieces, wanted to go. So that's main bit of feedback on the game. But on the annotation side, training plan side, profile side, everything else going fantastic here. So keep up the good work, and we'll be making more progress soon. Okay, let's move on to Tai, who's also graduating. Oh, actually, no. Yes, graduating from, not from 8 to 9, but actually from the 900 cohort to the 1000 to 1100. And good job, Tai. Just joined a couple weeks ago. Emergency Department RN. living in Boston. RN, I think that's resident nurse. So Thai, saving lives. And doing chess on the side. Having time to fill in the heat map. Already earned some badges. Annotated some games. Played some classical games. Very, very cool. Using their elite chess rating. Got 30 more points to go before the next graduation. Let's check out the activity here. Nice, balanced activity chart. Very, very healthy here. And let's see what Ty's been up to. Logical chess move by move. Classical games, annotating games, published the game analysis. Nice. We'll take a look. Pull guard mates, tactics test, checkmate puzzles. Cool. Doing the puzzle requirements, the tactics. Yeah, nice balanced diet. We can see on the left side. Slowly going through the program. Already getting through a bunch in the next cohort. So I'm sure Ty will be graduating soon. All right, let's check out a game. Let's see. A couple of games here in the last week. Let's look at the most recent one. And here we are playing white against Karo Khan. And this was 30 plus 20. So d5, f3. Play the fantasy variation, no known theory here to speak of, but just defending the center. To end up with a strong control of the center if he was to exchange. Yeah, fantasy is an interesting line. Definitely very aggressive approach against Karo Khan. So black goes knight f6, and white pushes e5. And this feels like already this is kind of what white is hoping for from this opening. Because now white has a very strong center and open f-file in the long run. So bishop c4 played. Knight f3 makes sense. e6, castles. Bishop d2, knight c3. Bishop d2 I'm not so sure about. Feels like white should be able to develop a little bit more aggressively. Maybe c3. I understand it's hard to go knight d2 because of knight e3 from black. So I wonder if can I... No, I can only highlight squares. Okay. But yeah, maybe white can also think about like queen e1 in the future. Let's say castles, queen e1, and then knight d2, knight e4. Basically trying to put all the pieces on the king side because the pawn structure is very much pointed in this direction. But okay, bishop d2 I think is still fine. Knight c3, knight d7. Queen e2. Oh. But white gives up the pawn. But looks like white didn't mind to give up the pawn. Knight e4. Now he gets a little bit of compensation. We'll see if it's enough. Takes, takes. Knight b6, bishop d3, g6, h4. Nice. Now we're attacking. Now it does feel like white is getting some nice play. So maybe it was justified pawn sacrifice. Definitely a risky pawn for black to take. Also, I wonder if knight e4 was the only move here. Maybe white had other moves, but I'm not sure because, let's say, for example, bishop h6 you might consider, but then black would drop back bishop g6. Okay, so knight e4, take, take. Knight b6, bishop d3, g6. h4, rook e8, h5. Takes. Oh my gosh. Takes on h5. Guys, what are we looking at here? What are we looking at here? GH5 played with 29 minutes on the clock in a G30. In a G30 with 29 minutes. GH5 and getting mated. Well, welcome to the dojo. Welcome to the dojo. Yeah, definitely playing way too fast. Way too fast. Both players actually playing really quickly. Now, white won the game, so it's hard to blame them too much for this, but we still want to use our time, even though the opponent is blitzing to try and punish them. So I would say on these moves like bishop d2, knight c3, queen e2, white could be spending more time on all of these moves. And so, yeah, queen e2, it's like we're just basically playing blitz. So that would be my advice. Like, we're playing well, but I think we'd be playing better if we slow down a bit. So it's like, just slow down, start spending more time, and you will find that you're just seeing more stuff, seeing more tactics, coming up with better ideas. This is how you develop yourself as a chess player. It's not about just playing the first move you see. It's more about kind of developing your ability to think through a position, to think about the game, do analysis, and come up with the best moves, right? Versus just kind of guessing at them. So that's my advice. Spend more time, and I'm sure we will be getting a lot more points soon. All right, Ty, best of luck. And Ty was super close to next cohort, so I think Ty will be graduating in short order. Hello, Grenborg. How we doing? Okay, next up we have 6 seasons and a movie. Joined basically in the last week. Already graduated a couple times. Starting to work through some of the program. Nice. Let's take a look. We have some games. No games yet. That's okay. We're just getting started here. But hopefully we play some classical games soon and upload those. I mean, I would say that's one of the first things we want to start with, is so that we kind of know what to work on. Of course, we should be working on everything a little bit, tactics, openings, middle games, end games, but classical games really teach you what you're weakest at and where you need to step it up. So definitely recommend playing some longer games, but welcome to the dojo, and hopefully we'll be seeing you in future grad shows soon. Okay, next up we have Acebulf. Acebulf, I think, was in the chat earlier. Hopefully they are still here. Graduating from 900, 1,000 to 1,100. They're still here. Woohoo! First graduation in the program. Congrats. Joined just like a week ago. Well done. Actually, we have a lot of recent joins that have been graduating. So welcome. Thanks for joining. I'm always curious if people have found us through the YouTube or Reddit, or what made you decide to make the jump. How did you hear about us? But yeah, let's take a look. Looks like we're using Lichess Classical. Next graduation is about 50 points away. And let's take a look at the activity so far. Some games, some Polgar mates. Nice. Published the game analysis. Let's go. I'm going to react to that. Classical games. Nice. Okay, well, doing all the right stuff so far. Playing games, already uploaded an analysis, doing some tactics. Hopefully following the plan. That's what we like to see. At this level, we got a couple different things. Polgar mates, of course. We have logical chess move by move. And then the usual middle game, end game sparring tasks as well. Matchaz, thanks for subscribing. 60 months. Dude, if my math is correct, that's 5 years. Logical Chess came in the mail today. Nice. Enjoy. That's an absolute classic book. Every one of those games is super well annotated. And the process there is super simple. Hopefully you have a physical chess set. Play through the moves. on a physical board. You can also do online board, it's fine. Or if you're studying with someone, you guys want to share a chess board or something, totally cool too. Play through, I would say maybe 1, 2, 3 games a day, depending on how much time you have, maybe 30 minutes a day. And try to take away something like 3 ideas per game. Try to focus in on like 3 moments a game where you're like, oh, what an interesting idea. I wouldn't have thought of that. Or maybe it's an interesting evaluation or what have you. Usually like a move or idea that is kind of fresh for you, something you haven't seen before. It's nice to take it away. Maybe even keep like a little journal, like a little notepad. Like today, these are the games I studied. These are the ideas. I remember bishop takes h7, sacrifice, e4, e5, interesting, pawn push, and then you go back, and I think you'll kind of retain more if you do this. I have a theory. You kind of retain more if you take notes while you're studying stuff. So generally, I try to do that whenever I'm playing through games or working on stuff. I just try to at least, I don't necessarily take notes on like what I learned specifically, but I at least try to keep track of like what I studied so that I can kind of look back on it. All right, let's take a look at game. All right, looks like we got 1 game in already. Awesome, glad to see. So this is rated classical game. Looks like from Lee Chess, which was 30. Looks like 40 minutes plus 30-second increments per side. Okay, so we got ace both playing white here. e4, d6, knight f3, e5. Now it's not a big deal. Nothing wrong with knight f3 here, but if black doesn't really fight for the center, I just go and push d4. I would just do this. You can do this against French and against Caro-Kann. Just go d4. Take the space. Of course, on knight f6, they're attacking the pawn, so you can't push, but you can push the e-pawn first and then go d4. So on d6 as well, I think white should just play d4 here, and then maybe black plays knight f6, you would go knight c3. If black plays e5, you can definitely consider just playing knight f3 here, and you'd be fine, but probably you can also consider going for the endgame and arguing that since black has lost their castling rights that you should be better here. But I'm not sure this is actually so good for white. I think knight f3 is probably would be my choice. Well, actually, let's check our end. We got a super strong engine here. I'm just curious. Is DE the move? No, DE5 is not that great. Black is pretty much fine here. So knight f3, definitely the move. And then we just get kind of like normal, we get normal Philidor, as they call it. Philidor defense. Okay. So knight f3, bishop c4. Again, d4 I think I would play. Black goes h6. They're terrified of the knight g5. I understand. Knight c3, c6, d4. Good move. Black goes b5. Bishop to b3. If I'm not mistaken, I think white has a trick here you can pull. Bishop b3 looks fine to me, but I think this might be a tactic that works. Knight takes b5 and bishop d5. And black can't defend the rook in the corner. Okay, it's not letting me get the arrow, but we're going to get the arrow. Moments. Yeah, that's a nice one. Let me check Compy here. Yeah, looks like knight takes b5 is working. Correct. Yeah, that's a good one. Not surprising because black is down in development, but yeah, nice idea to keep in mind. But of course, we are still much better here because we've already developed 3 pieces, and black is has only pushed pawns so far. So queen f6, we take bishop e3, totally fine. a4, like it, because otherwise your bishop is getting trapped. b4, knight e2. And I like that you're spending time here. Black is basically blitzing their moves out and not playing well. A lot of random pawn moves, but we're spending 50 seconds, 3 minutes on a4 So yeah, I'd say like your moves are pretty logical, but I like that we're at least spending some time, like 50 seconds. It's like, yeah, you're getting into the game. Maybe you could even spend more time, because if you're not sure about the opening, you could definitely consider spending more time here. Like if you spend more time, maybe you would spot knight takes b5, possibly. But even if you didn't, just spending a little bit more time in the opening, I think would be a good habit to practice anyway. Because you definitely have a lot of time here to use a full hour game. Oh, I said it was 30-minute game. No, it's actually full hour long, hour plus 30. So take here. But yeah, the moves themselves were fine, and time usage overall good. Wow, bishop h3. Dang. Scary move. So white went rook to g1. Takes. And bishop b6. Oh. But now black could have taken here, right? And just kept the queen on d8. So I can see why this is a blunder. Yeah, so basically we got hit with bishop h3 and we kind of panicked here. Because maybe it's not so bad to take. And if you wanted to be safe, you could even go knight g3. Defending everything. And if queen takes queen, rook takes queen, you have a really nice endgame, because now you have 4 pieces in the game. Black has 0. Your knight has this beautiful f5 square. Your bishops are very nice. Black's queen side is fixed. And so like your pawn weakness is a tiny blemish. A tiny blemish on an otherwise beautiful position. Yeah, imagine a warrior, but you know, it's not even an Achilles heel. It's an Achilles toenail, I would say. Because, yeah, the pieces are going to dominate before black ever has a chance. Now, if this was a king and pawn endgame and black's king is on h4, yeah, you got a problem. But we're such a long ways away from that, yeah, you're doing well here. So this is a typical thing where like we get hit with bishop h3 and we kind of panic, and then it turns out like it's actually not that scary, and yeah, you could just take it. Just take a knight g3 and no problem. But in our brain, it's like, ooh, if we take, we let the queen in. It's not really something we want to do. So rook g1 takes, and then, yeah, of course, had to just take here. But now queen takes f3. Now the rook is hanging, e-pawn is hanging. Now this one is not so easy to defend. You'd have to save the rook and give up the e-pawn. But thing is, even this position, I would just say, like, I would still be feeling confident here as white that I'm at least in the game, even though white is down 2 pawns. Because you're way ahead in development. And a lead in development is worth at least 1 pawn, sometimes 2 pawns. Sometimes it's even worth a full piece if you're really very far ahead. So if you're ahead in development, which clearly you are here, maybe it's worth a full pawn, maybe 2 full pawns. Like, that's really hard to say exactly how many pawns it's worth. But the point is you have play. The point is you definitely have play here. So, for example, now we can go knight to g3, getting a tempo on the queen. Queen has to go somewhere. It's not so obvious. Maybe queen to g6, hitting our rook. And then we can consider developing like queen f3, I think, is a very natural option, followed by queenside castling. And then our knight is ready to hop. Our horsey is ready to jump, which would be, yeah, just giving us great play. So here, honestly, I would probably... almost certainly, I would rather have white's position. I would think even here, even though it's like we've kind of messed up, we could have gotten this with equal material. We could have gotten something like this. But here we're down 2 pawns, and I still like white's position because we're so active. And I'm just banking on the fact that in a couple moves, the pieces are going to pay off. Yeah, so definitely could have spent more time here. Like we spent a couple minutes on rook g1, minute and a half on bishop to b6. But given that this is a huge blunder, black could have taken your piece. Should have spent more time on this move because it's so tactical. And if you miss one thing, you could end up losing the game. And by the way, so like bishop takes f3, of course, is one move. Black also could play like knight d7 as well, hitting the bishop. And then we'd be a little bit scrambling here too. Although I think you can take on g2, you're in the game. So probably spending more time in a very tactical situation. That would be my main suggestion. Spending more time when things are tactical. Okay, so bishop e7. Black defends the phantom checkmate. Knight takes e5. Takes on e4. Queen to d4. Okay, maybe we have better moves. I mean, here f7 is hanging as well. I'm not sure if we noticed this one, but this might have been a nice shot, or maybe even better to take with the knight and hit the rook on h7. And black's position starts to kind of collapse. I'm not sure if we saw these possibilities, but they were definitely there. So queen d4, bishop d6, and take, rook to d1. Once again, I'm wondering about f4 maybe, tactical possibility, using the pin. But here, bishop d4, okay. Got it this time. And now white's winning, bishop d4. Maybe bishop d4 first right away. Oh, but then knight d7. So yeah, f4, I think. Attacking with the weaker piece. So nice. Now it's over. Queen trade while massively up in material. Yeah, easy money. Beautiful. Very good technique here. Really good technique. Basically perfect technique. Exactly what we want to see at this level. You still spent your time. You didn't rush. You traded pieces. Like, okay, black offered the queen trade. Kind of had to. Like bishop on e5. Yeah, it's very strong. You immediately trade. Offering more trades. King e2, right? Not allowing this check. Very good technique. So, nice job, Ace. Once again, I think main tip is to spend more time in those tactical situations. And yeah, keep up the good work. Keep analyzing your games. Keep studying, playing through games, solving tactics, and you'll be well on your way soon. Okay, let's do two more here. We'll finish out with the 900 grads, graduating 1100, and then that'll be it for tonight. Okay, next up we have Tyler Craig. Joined last month. Nice heat map for now. Very good stuff. Already graduated a couple times. Cool. Active, playing classical games, doing endgames, tactics. Exactly what we want to see. All right. Well done, Tyler. And let's see. It looks like we got a game. Is there also something in my games? No, it's back here. All right. Very easy to find. Let's take a look. So here Tyler's playing black. This was a classical game. Looks like G60 plus 10. Okay, D4, D5, Knight C3, Jobava London. Don't really like this opening. I feel like I mentioned this earlier, but I feel like it's kind of hard for white to play with the knight on C3. Okay. Really nice annotations here. A lot of detail. Love it. Love it. Bishop d3, knight e4. Knight e4 is interesting. I think it's definitely reasonable. A problem could be bishop takes e4. And then let's see. Looks like we wanted this. Although I'm not really sure what the plan was. But takes. And yeah, knight d2, knight f6. Basically, black is fine. We hold on to this pawn. So knight e4 I think is quite okay here. I think quite playable, and then also creates this threat of knight takes c3. Maybe white should even go knight e2 to avoid that exchange. Put the pawn on c3, and then maybe bring this guy around to g3, I would think. You could also, of course, trade. I think black here is perfectly happy, perfectly solid. White can take with the queen as well, which I don't think is better. And even e6, I think, actually is reasonable for black too. Not really necessary, but I don't think it's like, I don't know. I don't think actually it's a problem. If white takes, we go ef We get nice control over e4. We can use the second f pawn on f6. I think this is a case where the double pawns are quite nice for black. I'm curious about this one, so I'm just going to check with our local compy here. And okay, it says bishop g6 is also perfectly fine. Yep, I agree. So e6 actually, e6, one of the top moves from the engine. It agrees that this structure would be perfectly playable for black, because you get this nice control over the center, you get this nice e4 square, you cover e5 square, so black is pretty comfortable. You can play g6 to support the pawn easily. And yeah, bishop takes d3 also perfectly fine for black. Knight e4. So here, actually, white could have taken, takes, and I actually misevaluated this position. I thought knight d2, knight f6, black was fine. But compy actually, wow. Hold on, I apologize, folks. I thought like black is like totally fine. Like I thought it's like equal. Like we're gonna play queen d5. And it's not like white is better. White is like much better. What? It's like plus 1.5. 1.5 for white. That's like way more than I thought, okay, maybe at like 0.5. If white is slightly better, sure. I could believe it. Plus 1.7 on castles. I mean, that means that white is basically winning the pawn by force or something. So e6. Okay, apparently it's like any move. White is like much better. h3. And bishop g5. Okay, I guess this bishop g5 idea is pretty key. And then just taking and taking on e4. Well, what if black goes queen d5? Then c4, queen f5, queen b3. And we're losing on the queen side here. b6, bishop e5. Queen a4 also. Just crushing for white. Just crushing. Wow, black is just not developing in time. Okay, so yeah, this knight e4 move, I take it all back. I apologize, was dubious. Dubious, because white could take and then go after this pawn. If de4, knight d2, and then same kind of thing. Knight f6, white always has bishop e5, I guess, and then bishop takes f6, followed by knight takes c4. The struggle of finding a chance to castle is black in d4 line. Yeah, sometimes it is a struggle. Can be a struggle for white as well. Okay, so white played a3, which I don't like at all, because I don't see what it does for white's position. Bishop b4 was not threatened yet. h6, I also don't like for black. Why do we need it? Why do we need h6? Or I guess covering like some knight g5 stuff, but I think black should have just taken on c3. We should have just taken on c3 while we still had the chance. We're hitting the queen, so white doesn't have time to take our bishop, because then, of course, we play knight takes queen. And we're up, so white would have to recapture. And then again, we can go e6, we can park the bishop. Here, maybe bishop g6 makes a lot of sense. And okay, I think white's fine. Can go c4, but black is also very solid here. But I think it's good to take the chance to kind of damage white's structure a bit. So h6 I don't like, playing too slow. Knight h4. And then e6, yeah, I don't like e6 here. Because, okay, I know the structure is kind of okay, and then we win the knight, so that's good. So e6 ended up winning the game. So nice job. But we played h6, we might as well play bishop h7. Once you say A, you should say B. Which is actually one of, I remember that was one of Danya's favorite phrases. And I think he really believed that it really comes from like Soviet chess school. It's like once you say A, you must say B. Like you played h6, you give your bishop a square on h7. Use it. Use it. You know, this is a good bishop. This is a good bishop. So knight h4. Bishop h7 definitely should be the move here for black. And then we can go e6. We're even threatening cheeky move e5 with a sneaky double attack. Okay, it doesn't end the game, but still. I think black would be happy here. So yeah, e6, but I think we've already understood knight bishop h7 was better. Now white should have taken on f5. They go queen f3, blundering, which we spotted. So nice job on this one. And now it's a matter of technique, as we've seen a couple of times already. We're up a piece, so it's just about trading down. We play bishop d6. Bishop d6 makes a lot of sense. I guess there's also g5, but we have some annotations here, g5, g3. And then if queen g4, h3. So we're not really in time to win white's piece. We'd have to go queen f5, but at least we do force the queens off. And actually the bishop is still trapped, so this is kind of working still. Takes, takes, and bishop is still caught. So in fact, black would still be winning here. Bishop c7, I think b6, and rook c8 is coming. And yeah, bishop e5, there's f6. Okay, white still can get out with like g4, but we're up a piece in the endgame. Should be good for black. So takes, takes. So maybe g5 was good too, but yeah, bishop d6 is fine. g3, queen g4. Oh wait, but now h3. Wait, now our bishop is hanging, so this isn't so easy. Knight f6. Oh, knight f6. Okay. So takes, takes. We defend our bishop on d6, so we're still up a piece. But white goes back, queen g2. And now we're losing the piece because queen is hanging bishop. So bishop d6 was an unfortunate move, a miscalculation. Maybe we didn't spend enough time on this. g5 would have been better because it actually, yeah, it doesn't risk the bishop. Of course, we could also just kind of pull back or play knight f6. We had a lot of solid ways to play it as well. So bishop d6, sometimes when we play tactically, it doesn't work out. And so we have to realize that that was risky. So knight f6, we lose the piece back. And, oh, this was the end of the game. Or maybe it was 1-0. So I was worried about f3. I didn't see h3. This entire game I played way too fast regardless, which could be a reason I didn't see it. Absolutely. Absolutely, guys. I mean, time and again, if you play too fast, you will make mistakes. In blitz, it's important to play fast. Yes, in blitz and bullet, but that's why blitz and bullet are bad for your classical chess because they push you to just play too quickly and you don't spend enough time, you know, thinking through your moves. I mean, it's not so curious when you think about it, you know. You got to spend more time and you will come up with better ideas. Okay, well, Tyler, still, you're doing all the right stuff, playing games, solving puzzles, annotating games, working on your chess. So this is the right thing. Try to slow down a bit, and I'm sure you'll be making a lot more progress. This is advice I've been giving to basically almost every player at this ELO, but it's really good advice, I promise. Okay, last up for today, we have Sid graduating into the 1,000, 1,100 cohort as well. Looks like Sid short for Siddharth. And super active heat map, love it. Last couple of months, playing a lot, doing a lot of games and analysis, tactics, and so on. And looks like using chess.com Rapid, 100 points away from the next graduation. Let's see their activity. Nice. Studying, going through the program, just all the same stuff. Oh, doing the Checkmate Trainer. Nice. Zoomja, have you seen the new Checkmate Trainer? Actually, yeah, I don't know if you've checked it out yet, but it's very cool, very popular. And oops, let's see if we have some games. Oh, no published games. So Sid, make sure to publish games if you have some uploaded, so others can give you feedback. But okay, I think that's gonna do it. Anyways, clearly doing a lot of work, so keep it up, Sid, and you'll be making more progress soon. Oh, saw it in the article. Nice. All right, folks, that does it for me. Those were all the graduates under 1,000 for this week. We have, it looks like, how many more we have here? We had 36, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12, 18, 19, 20. Wow, so we got like 16 more coming up tomorrow. Jesse will be taking those Thursday. We also got the World Cup tie breaks. I think Jesse said he might want to cover tie breaks. So if you're watching FIDE World Cup coverage, looks like Jesse will be on tomorrow morning. And yeah, that'll do it.